retrospectively, learning from their past experience and the experience of others within the industry. They were to look inward, reflectively, assessing themselves and doing something, acting on the outcome of the assessment. They were to look outward collaboratively, being stakeholder centric, engaging with their stakeholders in order to secure their license to continue to operate. Finally, boards were required to look upward, ethically, remembering that they are supposed to deliver on their responsibility with integrity. The five-way directional model provided boards with the framework and tools to deal with different forms of challenges, but the important thing was they needed to be successful and sustainable. In 2020, when the pandemic hit, I had cause to write a two-part article on LinkedIn titled COVID-19, Looking in the Right Direction for the Right Reasons. That article leveraged the five-way directional model. It garnered several positive responses from business leaders and some speaking engagements. One of such was from my friend Catherine Musakali, who is a board member at the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, KEPSA. She said to me, Chinyere, you must come speak to us on the five-way directional model. During the event, I presented the five-way directional model and its implication for business leaders. As the discussion ensued, someone said this model is actually relevant not just during a period of crisis, but for all companies at all times. That was my cue to write a book. To capture the five-way directional model in a way that it will remain valuable and accessible for generations. The future of boards is not in doubt, but boards of the future remain to be seen. It depends on what you do today that will determine whether your board will be relevant in the future. Grab a copy of Boards of the Future. And this book navigates through what I define as the five-way directional model in business leadership.
Boards may not appear to be interacting with strategically anymore. Yet, when things start to go awry, they usually recenter the team, and they report to investors as accountable entities. Regardless of the asparkles cast on boards, the future of board is not in doubt. But boards of the future remain to be seen. Will your board be one of them? The corporate world is evolving rapidly. Will your board survive the corporate evolution? Are today's boards equipped to create value for companies and their stakeholders in the future? Do boards have a robust perspective of their stakeholders and the business landscape? Dr. Almona has worked with several boards as an advisor, assessor, trainer, and consultant. In this book, she shares her wealth of experience, which will assist boards in professionalizing their practices to achieve sustainable business success and be relevant in the future. Dr. Almona's proprietary five-way directional model, which can be used in various contexts, guides board members to focus on what matters as they prepare for the future. The model will help boards leverage their strategic leadership roles to succeed in the short, medium, and long term. It requires business leaders to look intentionally in the right direction, learn from what they see in order to lead effectively. Boards that look and learn effectively lead and leap exponentially. Get your copy today from Amazon, Roving Heights, Barnes & Noble, and other leading online bookstores.
Finding the motivation to navigate life's daily hurdles can be quite challenging. The pressures of work and relationships can take a toll on anyone, especially leaders. However, seeking inspiration from remarkable leaders within your circle and beyond can keep the flame of positivity burning bright. Cultivating an optimistic perspective is undoubtedly one of the best things leaders can do for themselves and those they lead. Dr. Chinyere Almona introduced my Monday morning motivational muse, a weekly LinkedIn post that has proven immensely helpful in igniting the spark to start each week. These weekly posts have provided short yet powerful reflections, written excerpts, and snippets of personal stories, serving as a much needed source of motivation. Now, Dr. Almona has combined all these positivity inspiring perspectives into a book that will uplift and prepare you for whatever lies ahead. If you're interested in experiencing the uplifting power of this book, you can get your copy from Amazon or Roving Heights online bookstores. Alternatively, you can reach out to the author directly for personalized autographed copies by sending an email to almonabookcafe@gmail.com. So why wait? Take advantage of this opportunity to infuse your life with inspiration to achieve your aspirations. Grab your copy of this book now and let it guide you towards a brighter future.
Get your copy today on Amazon and other leading bookstores.
Hello, I am Dr. Chinyere Almona, the author of Birds of the Future. I'm often asked the question, why did you write this book? It is to provide boards with valuable insights and practical tools to be successful today and in the future. In 2017, I wrote a paper for the European Institute for Advanced Studies in Management, Belgium, titled Directors in the Age of Being on Edge. That paper referenced the 2008-2009 financial crisis and reflected the mood or atmosphere within most boardrooms following that crisis. Having worked extensively with boards before, during, and after the crisis, I was able to propose some solutions on how boards could deal with the crisis. In that paper, I proposed the five-way directional model, which required board members to look in five distinct directions intentionally. They were to look forward strategically, envisioning the future of the organization they lead. They were to look backward retrospectively, learning from their past experience and the experience of others within the industry. They were to look inward reflectively, assessing themselves and doing something, acting on the outcome of the assessment. They were to look outward collaboratively, being stakeholder centric, engaging with their stakeholders in order to secure their license to continue to operate. Finally, boards were required to look upward, ethically, remembering that they are supposed to deliver on their responsibility with integrity. The five-way directional model provided boards with the framework and tools to deal with different forms of challenges, but the important thing was they needed to be successful. and sustainable. In 2020, when the pandemic hit, I had course to write a two-part article on LinkedIn titled COVID 19 Looking in the Right Direction for the Right Reasons. That article leveraged the five-way directional model. It garnered several positive responses from business leaders and some speaking engagements. One of such was from my friend Catherine Musakali, who is a board member at the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, KEPSA. She said to me, Chinyere, you must come speak to us on the five-way directional model. During the event, I presented the five-way directional model and its implication for business leaders. As the discussion ensued, someone said this model is actually relevant not just during a period of crisis, but for all companies at all times. That was my cue to write a book. To capture the five-way directional model in a way that it will remain valuable and accessible for generations. The future of boards is not in doubt, but boards of the future remain to be seen. It depends on what you do today that will determine whether your board will be relevant in the future. Grab a copy of Boards of the Future for current directors you know, or for aspiring directors. It will provide them with valuable insights and practical tools to navigate the waters and the dynamics and the challenges of being on board.
Boards may not appear to be noticed while business activities are going well. Yet, when things start to go awry, they're usually the center of attention, and their effectiveness is actively questioned. Regardless of the aspersions cast on boards, the future of board is not in doubt. But boards of the future remain to be seen. Will your board be one of them? The corporate world is evolving rapidly. Will your board survive the corporate evolution? Are today's boards equipped to create value for companies and their stakeholders in the future? Do boards have a robust perspective of their stakeholders and the business landscape? Dr. Almona has worked with several boards as an advisor, assessor, trainer, and consultant. In this book, she shares her wealth of experience, which will assist boards in professionalizing their practices to achieve sustainable business success and be relevant in the future. Dr. Almona's proprietary five-way directional model, which can be used in various contexts, guides board members to focus on what matters as they prepare for the future. The model will help boards leverage their strategic leadership roles to succeed in the short, medium, and long term. It requires business leaders to look intentionally in the right direction, learn from what they see in order to lead effectively. Boards that look and learn effectively lead and leap exponentially. Get your copy today from Amazon, Roving Heights, Barnes & Noble, and other leading online bookstores.
Finding the motivation to navigate life's daily hurdles can be quite challenging. The pressures of work and relationships can take a toll on anyone, especially leaders. However, seeking inspiration from remarkable leaders within your circle and beyond can keep the flame of positivity burning bright. Cultivating an optimistic perspective is undoubtedly one of the best things leaders can do for themselves and those they lead. Dr. Chinyere Almona introduced my Monday morning motivational news, a weekly LinkedIn post that has proven immensely helpful in igniting the spark to start each week. These weekly posts have provided short, yet powerful reflections, written excerpts, and snippets of personal stories, serving as a much needed source of motivation. Now, Dr. Almona has combined all these positivity inspiring perspectives into a book that will uplift and prepare you for whatever lies ahead. If you're interested in experiencing the uplifting power of this book, you can get your copy from Amazon or Roving Heights online bookstores. Alternatively, you can reach out to the author directly for personalized autographed copies by sending an email to almonabookcafe@gmail.com. So why wait? Take advantage of this opportunity to infuse your life with inspiration to achieve your aspirations. Grab your copy of this book now and let it guide you towards a brighter future.
Get your copy today on Amazon and other leading bookstores.
Hello, I am Dr. Chinyere Almona, the author of Birds of the Future. I'm often asked the question, why did you write this book? It is to provide boards with valuable insights and practical tools to be successful today and in the future. In 2017, I wrote a paper for the European Institute for Advanced Studies in Management, Belgium, titled Directors in the Age of Being on Edge. That paper referenced the 2008-2009 financial crisis and reflected the mood or atmosphere within most boardrooms following that crisis. Having worked extensively with boards before, during, and after the crisis, I was able to propose some solution on how boards could deal with the crisis. In that paper, I proposed the five-way directional model, which required board members to look in five distinct directions intentionally. They were to look forward strategically, envisioning the future of the organization they lead. They were to look backward retrospectively, learning from their past experience and the experience of others within the industry. They were to look inward reflectively, assessing themselves and doing something, acting on the outcome of the assessment. They were to look outward collaboratively, being stakeholder centric, engaging with their stakeholders in order to secure their license to continue to operate. Finally, boards were required to look upward, ethically, remembering that they are supposed to deliver on their responsibility with integrity. The five-way directional model provided boards with the framework and tools to deal with different forms of challenges, but the important thing was they needed to be successful and sustainable. In 2020, when the pandemic hit, I had cause to write a two-part article on LinkedIn titled COVID-19, Looking in the Right Direction for the Right Reasons. That article leveraged the five-way directional model. It garnered several positive responses from business leaders and some speaking engagements. One of such was from my friend Catherine Musakali, who is a board member at the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, KEPSA. She said to me, Chinyere, you must come speak to us on the five-way directional model. During the event, I presented the five-way directional model and its implication for business leaders. As the discussion ensued, someone said this model is actually relevant not just during a period of crisis, but for all companies at all times. That was my cue to write a book. To capture the five-way directional model in a way that it will remain valuable and accessible for generations. The future of boards is not in doubt, but boards of the future remain to be seen. It depends on what you do today that will determine whether your board will be relevant in the future. Grab a copy of Boards of the Future for current directors you know, or for aspiring directors. It will provide them with valuable insights and practical tools to navigate the waters and the
Boards may not appear to be to our business activities worldwide, yet when things start to go awry, they're usually the center of attention, and their effectiveness is actively questioned. Regardless of the aspersions cast on boards, the future of board is not in doubt. But boards of the future remain to be seen. Will your board be one of them? The corporate world is evolving rapidly. Will your board survive the corporate evolution? Are today's boards equipped to create value for companies and their stakeholders in the future? Do boards have a robust perspective of their stakeholders and the business landscape? Dr. Almona has worked with several boards as an advisor, assessor, trainer, and consultant. In this book, she shares her wealth of experience, which will assist boards in professionalizing their practices to achieve sustainable business success and be relevant in the future. Dr. Almona's proprietary five-way directional model, which can be used in various contexts, guides board members to focus on what matters as they prepare for the future. The model will help boards leverage their strategic leadership roles to succeed in the short, medium, and long term. It requires business leaders to look intentionally in the right direction, learn from what they see in order to lead effectively. Boards that look and learn effectively lead and leap exponentially. Get your copy today from Amazon, Woven Heights, Barnes& and Noble, and other leading online bookstores.
Finding the motivation to navigate life's daily hurdles can be quite challenging. The pressures of work and relationships can take a toll on anyone, especially leaders. However, seeking inspiration from remarkable leaders within your circle and beyond can keep the flame of positivity burning bright. Cultivating an optimistic perspective is undoubtedly one of the best things leaders can do for themselves and those they lead. Dr. Chinyere Almona introduced my Monday morning motivational muse, a weekly LinkedIn post that has proven immensely helpful in igniting the spark to start each week. These weekly posts have provided short yet powerful reflections, written excerpts, and snippets of personal stories, serving as a much needed source of motivation. Now, Dr. Almona has compiled all these positivity inspiring perspectives into a book that will uplift and prepare you for whatever lies ahead.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. My name is Oluwaseun. I'll be your host for today. Please bear with us. We are just waiting for the chairman of the occasion to arrive, and then we'll start in about 10 minutes. So thank you very much for your patience.
Take advantage of this opportunity to infuse your life with inspiration to achieve your aspirations. Grab your copy of this book now and let it guide you towards a brighter future.
Get your copy today on Amazon and other leading bookstores.
Hello, I am Dr. Chinyere Almona, the author of Birds of the Future. I'm often asked the question, why did you write this book? It is to provide boards with valuable insights and practical tools to be successful today and in the future. In 2017, I wrote a paper for the European Institute for Advanced Studies in Management, Belgium, titled Directors in the Age of Being on Edge. That paper referenced the 2008-2009 financial crisis and reflected the mood or atmosphere within most boardrooms following that crisis. Having worked extensively with boards before, during, and after the crisis, I was able to propose some solutions on how boards could deal with the crisis. In that paper, I proposed the five-way directional model, which required board members to look in five distinct directions intentionally. Envisioning the future of the organization they lead. They were to look backward, retrospectively, learning from their past experience and the experience of others within the industry. They were to look inward, reflectively, assessing themselves and doing something, acting on the outcome of the assessment. They were to look outward collaboratively, being stakeholder-centric, engaging with their stakeholders in order to secure their license to continue to operate. Finally, boards were required to look upward, ethically, remembering that they are supposed to deliver on their responsibility with integrity. The five-way directional model provided boards with the framework and tools to deal with different forms of challenges, but the important thing was they needed to be successful and sustainable. In 2020, when the pandemic hit, I had cause to write a two-part article on LinkedIn titled COVID-19, Looking in the Right Direction for the Right Reasons. That article leveraged the five-way directional model. It garnered several positive responses from business leaders and some speaking engagements. One of such was from my friend Catherine Musakali, who is a board member at the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, KEPSA. She said to me, "Chinyere, you must come speak to us on the five-way directional model." During the event, I presented the five-way directional model and its implications for business leaders. As the discussion ensued, someone said, this model is actually relevant not just during a period of crisis, but for all companies at all times. That was my cue to write a book. To capture the five-way directional model in a way that it will remain valuable and accessible for generations. The future of boards is not in doubt, but boards of the future remain to be seen. It depends on what you do today that will determine whether your board will be relevant in the future. Grab a copy of Boards of the Future for current directors you know, or for aspiring directors. It will provide them with valuable insights and practical tools to navigate the waters and the dynamics and the challenges of being.
Boards and a lot of things that need to start being particularly when you're wrong. Yes, when things start to go awry, they're usually the center of attention. And they affect the success of most organizations. Regardless of the attachments happening to boards, the future of
All
boards
right.
lies in
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
we see.
Please let's have our
Your
seats.
boards are one of them. The corporate world is
Would
moving
like to
rapidly.
welcome you all
Will your board
to
survive
the
the shift?
official book launch
Are today's boards
of
equipped to
Ways
withstand
Women
the
Lead
company's
Well.
needs?
And we're going to be starting now. So thank you all very much for being here and being so timely. Once again, we want to thank you for your patience as we're going to be starting and kicking off now. A few housekeeping rules. Please let's ensure that our phones are on silent. We understand that we're very excited for the book launch today. And if you'd like to use the restrooms, when you exit the hall, you take the first turning on the left, up the stairs, and the next turning to your left, you see the restrooms there. My name is Oshoni, as I mentioned earlier, and I'm going to be your host for today, co-hosting this event with Bukola. To kick off the person of Mrs. Funto Igon. Please, can we give her a round of applause as she comes up stage? Please, let's keep clapping until she gets up stage.
Down. Let the glory of the Lord from heaven come down. Let the glory of the Lord come down. And so, Father, in the name of Jesus, we say thank you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this book launch. Thank you for everyone that you have brought here. We have asked for your glory to come down, and we see that glory coming down by faith in the name of Jesus. We commit this event into your hands, O Lord God Almighty, and we ask that you take absolute control in the name of Jesus. Let your name and your name alone be glorified in the mighty name of Jesus. We commit the book into your hands, O Lord God Almighty, and we ask, Lord, that everyone that reads that book, my Father and my God, there will be impact by your Spirit in the name of Jesus. Lord God Almighty, at the end of this event today, my Father and my God, all that we shall have cause to do will be to give you glory and to say thank you. For in Jesus' name we have prayed. Amen and amen and amen. Hallelujah.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Igun. Can we give her a round of applause as she goes back to her seat? Thank you very much, ma'am. So, happy International Women's Day. Please, can you say that to your neighbor? Let's give ourselves a round of applause. Happy International Women's Day. Yes, and to the brave men in the room, we celebrate you for being here with us. All right, very quickly, we also want to say and appreciate our sponsors. We have a couple of sponsors that are supporting us for this event today. MTN, we have Olam Agri, we also have ICO Insurance and United Capital. So moving along very quickly, we're then going to be getting an address from our keynote speaker. And before we receive the address, I'm just going to read her bio very, very quickly. So we're going to be receiving a keynote address from Ibukun Awoshika. Ibukun Awoshika is a renowned business leader, entrepreneur, and advocate for leadership, ethics, and economic development. She is the founder and CEO of the Chair Center Group, a conglomerate specializing in furniture, manufacturing, retail, and security systems. She made history as the first female chairperson of First Bank Nigeria, where she championed corporate governance and financial inclusion. With a strong background in finance, she has served on the boards of several organizations, including the International Advisory Board, IESE Business School, where she is also an alumna. Beyond business, Ibukun is a sought-after speaker, author, and mentor, inspiring entrepreneurs and leaders globally. She is deeply committed to youth empowerment and women's leadership, spearheading initiatives that foster ethical business practices and nation building. Ladies and gentlemen, join me as we listen to the keynote address from Ibukun Awoshika. Media team, are we ready? All right, so we'll come back to the keynote address. I've just been informed that our chairperson for the event today has just walked in the person of Dr. Toyin Sanni. Please, can we give her a round of applause? We welcome you, ma'am. Thank you so much for being here. All right, so we're going to be having our chairperson come up next, or rather come up immediately, and I'll go ahead to read. So I'll go ahead to read her bio and then she'll come up stage. Dr. Toyin Sanni is the founder and CEO of Emerging Africa Group, a financial services firm with investments in investment banking, fintech, venture capital, and microfinance. She is also the co-founder of the Africa Investment Roundtable, board chair at Layer 3 Limited, and vice chair of Fundal Limited. She serves on several boards, including Transnational Corporation PLC, AFDB sponsored Off-Grid Energy Fund. She is the chair of the Nigerian Capital Markets Financial Literacy Committee and co-chair for the Africa CEO Forum Network in Nigeria. Recognized as CNBC's Africa All-African Businesswoman of the Year in 2017, and Nigeria CEO of the Year 2017 by Pearl Awards. She has also authored 3 books, including Riding the Eagle, a guide to investing in Nigeria. Toyin holds a master's in law and is a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers and the Chartered Institute of Secretaries and Administrators. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me as we usher upstage Dr. Toyin Sanni for her chairperson's address.
Good morning, our wonderful author and esteemed guests. I want to start by apologizing. It is not in my character to be late, especially to be late as chair of an event. I think my problem was that I now trust Google more than my own brain. And so I kept clicking on Commerce House, Idowu Taylor. Even though I know where Idowu Taylor is, for God's sake, UBA Trustees is just around the corner, which was a part of my former life. But I just kept, thinking that the Google map must know what it's saying. And at some point, I actually snapped at the gentleman that was driving me, and I said, follow Google. It must know something that we don't know. And twice we turned and we found ourselves back on Body Lawn because I think the Google map had decided that Commerce House is closed today. And so it decided to take us to the other Commerce House, which is on Admiralty Way. And so eventually, eventually we realized that something was wrong. And then, we headed back. So I truly apologize for this. Thank you so much for waiting patiently. And Dr. Chinyere, I really apologize, but congratulations on the great work you're doing. So I will just go quickly into my chairman's welcome speech. Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great honor and joy that I stand before you today as the chairperson of this momentous occasion. And an occasion that is holding on, in my opinion, one of the most important days in the entire human calendar. Yes, I want us to clap. I think the world hit a jackpot when God made woman. I don't even know. I have a feeling there will be no existence without women. There will be no existence. Apart from the science of it, which we all know. The truth is that women raise human beings. Women make everything work. Women, what else do? We make the world go round. Women nurture the next generations. Women groom everybody, men, women, boys, girls, aunties, uncles. At one point or the other, they were raised and groomed by a woman. And so, I think Dr. Chinyere Almona, you did a great thing to pick a day like this. So this occasion is the launch of Ways Women Lead Well, Ways Women Lead Well by the remarkable Dr. Chinyere Almona. Today, we gather not only to celebrate the unveiling of this book, but to highlight the transformative power of women's leadership and the vital role that women play in shaping our society. This launch holds profound significance as it showcases how women are redefining leadership and driving positive change. While the theme for this year's International Women's Day is Accelerate Action resonates deeply with today's event, our focus is to spotlight the unique ways that women lead and inspire others to follow suit. The alignment of this global theme with the book's message serves as a powerful reminder to all of us that women's leadership is central to progress and societal transformation, and indeed integral to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. Ways Women Lead Well is more than just a collection of stories. It is a celebration of courage, a celebration of impact, resilience, innovation. The book highlights how women lead with empathy, collaboration, and purpose, qualities that foster inclusive environments and uplift entire communities. Each story serves as a testament to the profound impact that women make when given the opportunity to lead and thrive. And I want to stop and say something here. So I say that each of these stories and the stories of successful women, we were about to take a speech from my sister and one of the most inspirational women that have come out of Nigeria, our dear Mrs. Ibukun Awoshika. We were just about to take a speech from her, and when you look at the stories of women like that, you know that more women must get into leadership position. Now, I want to qualify what I said a few minutes ago. So I said when women get the opportunity to lead. And my candid opinion is that we're out of time. The theme for this year is Accelerate Action. If we're going to accelerate action, we have to stop waiting to get an opportunity to lead. We have to start making and creating those opportunities. And that's why somebody said, if you keep waiting and you are not given a seat at the table, hey, create your own table. And by the grace of God, one of my greatest passions today is encouraging women to found businesses. 7 years ago, I created my own table, founded the Emerging Africa Capital Group. 7 years down the line, actually in operations 6.5 years down the line, because we actually started operations in July 2018, but the company was incorporated 7 years ago. And operationally 6.5 years down the line, we employ 110 people. 6.5 years down the line, thank you. 6.5 years down the line, we serve at least a third of the governments in this country. We serve companies across different sectors, and by the grace of God, we've already raised well over $1 billion in funds successfully deployed into projects in this country, predominantly since our time of existence. All of that would not have happened. And by the way, our boards, our executives, our staff are completely, totally diversified. In more cases, more women than the other gender. And by the way, I welcome the brave men that are in our midst today. And my belief is that without the men, we can't even achieve our goals. We need them as collaborators. We need all hands on deck. By the way, that's the title of a great book that has just been launched by another wonderful Nigerian woman, my sister, my friend, Aruma Ote.
And the title of the book, she's talking about leadership in general, but the title is All Hands Are on Deck. But actually, to achieve our goals in terms of gender equality, gender equity, elimination of the gender divide, we actually do need all hands on deck. So we need men as collaborators, we need men as recognizing that they have a key role to play. So as we celebrate this launch, we must also recognize that the journey towards gender equality is ongoing. The reality remains that women continue to face systemic barriers, biases, and limited access to opportunities. To truly empower women to lead well, we need to create ecosystems that support women's advancement, from inclusive workplace policies to mentorship opportunities and access to funding for women-led businesses. And one thing that I would say is that we need to keep speaking up. And when a woman speaks up, we need to ensure that they don't shut her down, they don't take her out of the environment, they don't remove her from the scene because she's touching on some points that people don't want to hear about. We have to rise up as women and ensure that that doesn't happen. Now, does that mean we have judged the matter in advance and decided who is speaking the truth and who is not? No, but there should be a fair hearing. And there cannot be a fair hearing if one party is being removed completely from the environment and another party is presiding over the conversation. So, to truly empower women, So the reality remains that women continue to face systemic barriers, biases, and limited access to opportunities. To truly empower women to lead well, we need to create ecosystems that support women's advancement, from inclusive work policies to mentorship opportunities and access to funding for women-led businesses, which is my own passion point. Today, as we honor the contributions of women in leadership, let this book ignite a renewed commitment to championing gender equality. Let it inspire both men and women to become advocates for change, fostering environments where women's leadership is not only encouraged but celebrated. I commend Dr. Chinyere Almona for her vision in bringing this book to life. Her dedication to amplifying women's stories and women's voices will undoubtedly inspire a new generation of leaders. To every woman here today and to the men that support them, your leadership matters, your voice matters, and your impact is shaping the future that we desire. Together, let us continue to break barriers, accelerate progress, and build a world where women not only lead well, but lead without limits. Thank you very much. God bless you.
A very warm round of applause this morning for the charismatic, enigmatic Mrs. Toyin Sanni. I think we've started well. I think she's set us on the right note. One, about the book that we're launching, but in general about why we are here. Women, today is our day, but not just today, every single day. A round of applause for everyone here, women. She spoke quickly to the transformative power of women leadership, encouraging everyone, and even the strong men that are in the room, who are supposed to be the E for she leader everywhere they are. So a round of applause for these men in our midst, because they're going to carry the gospel from here to wherever they're going. And I caught something from your story, Mrs. Sanni. Women, we need to tell our stories more. So have you heard or have you read lately about the young startups that have raised 1 billion capital in short time, blah, blah, blah? No other business has done it. Then I heard today that Emerging Capital has done over that and is already invested in this country. Come on, a round of applause, please. So we must go again away from here, aside My doctor friend that is bold enough to write the book, me, I've not written one yet. But we must write our stories and we must tell it. So thank you, Mrs. Sanni, for sharing that. And ladies and gentlemen, I warmly welcome you once again. Thank you for being part of this auspicious event. I'll quickly like to recognize in our midst a very, very warm and amiable sister and egbo of mine, the Ambassador Nimi Akikugbe, founder Best Man Games and former ambassador of Nigeria to Grace. You're very welcome this morning. Next, I'd like to recognize Ms. Jet Jerome. I hope I got that right. Hey, correct. The Consul General of Denmark, Consulate General in Lagos. You're very welcome this morning. Miss Alice Bibi Lobe Manga Bell, Consul General of Cameroonian Consulate General in Lagos. You're very welcome. Thank you very much for being our midst. Also, I don't know whether it's Miss or Miss, but forgive me. Miss Marilee Rappo, DG German Nigeria Chamber of Commerce. You're very welcome. Thank you for being in our midst. So right on, ladies and gentlemen, we will be going to that key from our speaker, the keynote address from Mrs. Ibukun Awoshika, which Sheon introduced earlier. Media, are we ready now? Can we have the
I apologize that I'm unable to physically be present in the room, but I'm
collaborate. That's how it works. So that means we need to all be in our positions, collaborating and enabling great things to happen wherever we are. The second is that when God created, he made mankind 1.0. But by the time he made mankind 2.0, they called her woman. So woman, you are unique, you are different. Please remember why. You know, when the purpose for a thing is not known, there will be abuse. And that's why there's a lot of abuse all over the place. Please, let's understand the reason why we are. We were called for a purpose. We were called to bring diversity to conversation. We were called to bring out the best in all the people that come along our ways. And as we do that, our own gems begin to shine. And last but not the least, to every parent here, as we invest in our children, both male and female, I hear that the investment price is the same. The cost of school fees is the same. No discount anywhere. And because of that, you know, I've heard some proud fathers say, no, I didn't give up my child, so that somebody says all the money I spent on my education should go for nothing. So it shouldn't go for waste. We should enable that, you know, the funding of that investment so that we may have a lot more beautiful leaders out there, and we have a strong expression of the power and the grace that the Lord has put on their inside. Please, a warm round of applause for Mrs. Ibukun Awoshika. No one could have said it any better. I don't have any new names to introduce, so the next will be going on to see the book trailer. Some media work has been done, so we see what this book is about shortly before we go into our next session. Media, are we ready?
Women's emotional intelligence and deep understanding of people are powerful assets in leadership. These qualities help build teams that don't just work together, but thrive through trust and mutual support. In Ways Women Lead Well, Dr. Chinyere Almona shows us how these qualities, empathy, intuition, collaboration, set women apart as transformative leaders. Discover how collaboration becomes a true catalyst for innovation, allowing women leaders to unite diverse voices, spark fresh ideas, and create lasting impact. With a keen sense of intuition, women leaders look beyond the surface, making decisions that balance insight, compassion, and strategic.
Thank you very much for doing that, sir. Please take your seat. She also serves as ethics and business conduct leader and head of government and public services, driving strategic reforms and fostering key industry relationships. With over 24 years of experience, Mary specializes in governance, public sector development, strategy, digital transformation, change management, and leadership coaching. A thought leader in ethical leadership and business strategy, focusing on governance and women's leadership, inspiring the next generation of leaders. She holds an MBA from Kellogg School of Management, USA, a Bachelor of Pharmacy from the University of Lagos, and is a Fellow of ICANN. Madam, you're very welcome. Thank you for leading and moderating this session. So I'll be calling on the members, and of course, I'll hand them over to you so that you can run your show. The next person is Zwera Yusufu. Zwera, please come to the table. Zwera is a distinguished leader in philanthropy, development, finance, and corporate strategy. She is the managing director and CEO of the Aliko Dangote Foundation, ADF. She leads the foundation's efforts in healthcare, education, and economic empowerment. Before joining ADF, Zwera held senior positions at the World Bank, where she worked on private sector development, gender empowerment, and financial inclusion. She also worked with General Electric GE in corporate strategy, bringing global expertise in investment and policy advocacy. She holds an MBA from New York University Stern School of Business and a bachelor's degree from McGill University. You're very welcome, ma'am. Thank you very much for joining us. Next, I'll be calling on Chioma Ude. Chioma Ude, please rise. Thank you very much. Chioma is the founder and executive director of the Africa International Film Festival, AFRIF, a leading platform dedicated to the growth and celebration of African cinema. Afrifa has become a premier film festival fostering talent development, industry networking, and the global promotion of African storytelling. She has played a pivotal role in shaping Africa's film landscape, providing training, funding opportunities, and international exposure for emerging filmmakers. Her work has positioned Afrif as a bridge between African filmmakers and the global film market, attracting industry stakeholders from across the world. Chiyoma's impact has earned her widespread recognition as a key figure in Africa's entertainment industry, driving innovation and elevating the continent's cinematic narrative on the global stage. Thank you very much. You're very welcome. And next, we have some bold men joining our panel. I'll be inviting Mr. Anthony Oputa. Thank you very much. Anthony Oputa is the Regional Managing Partner for West Africa at Ernst & Young EY, serving as the Chief Executive for the West Africa cluster and steering all EY's business in the region. He joined EY in August 2018 as a financial services sector leader and Chief Operating Officer for West Africa. Prior to joining EY, Anthony dedicated 16 years of his career to PwC. He was also the head of corporate finance at Access Bank. He is a transformational leader committed to improving the lives of people and organizations across West Africa. Anthony holds a BSc in accounting from the University of Jos, Nigeria. Please, another round of applause for him, please. Thank you very much. Next, I'll be calling, and please forgive me if I do not pronounce this name correctly, but forgive me, I will try. Emmanuel Omujine. Yes. Emmanuel is a certified strategic management professional, a project management professional, PMP, and a Six Sigma Green Belt holder. He's also a chartered accountant and an alumnus of the Harvard Business School Advanced Management Program and the University of Lagos. Currently serving as the Managing Director of Rain Oil Gas Limited, Emmanuel has led the company's aggressive gas expansion strategy. Beyond his executive role, Emmanuel is a board member of Rain Oil Limited and serves as a non-executive director at Eternal PLC. Emmanuel is married with 2 children, is an avid reader, and enjoys playing lawn tennis and chess. We welcome you warmly. Thank you. And last but definitely not the least, another sister of mine, I like to call up Omotara Adefope. Omotara is a legal professional specializing in regulatory compliance and corporate governance. She's the Director General of the Bureau of Public Procurement, BPP, Oyo State, where she champions integrity, transparency, and competitiveness in the state's procurement process. Previously, she worked with the Africa Corporate Governance Program at IFC, driving initiatives in Nigeria and Ghana. She also worked at First Bank of Nigeria and led the bank's FACTA compliance efforts. Her experience includes governance advisory roles in the UK. Omotara holds an LLB from the University of Leicester and MSc in CG in Corporate Governance and Ethics from Birkbeck University of London. Ladies and gentlemen, please a warm round of applause for this ground-shaking panelists. And I would quickly hand over to them as my sister takes. Please run this away. Is anyone on that side?
Okay. Thank you very much, Buki. And thank you, Chair. I don't see her. You know, my eyes are, okay. Thank you, Chinyere, for putting, you know, for some reason, I made the mistake of telling my husband about this. And so he says, okay, I'm going to come with you. And he comes with me, and then he picks up this literary archive, I think it's called. And then he looks at it and says, Mary, what's happening now? That is Chinyere not your friend? How come she's written so many books? Where is yours? Eh? So Chinyere, you're not setting me up well at all, but clearly you are leading well. So thank you very much. We don't have a lot of time, so we're going to get into it. And the way I'm hoping to run this is I will start off asking the panelists, the distinguished panelists, questions. We will do one round and then hopefully get questions from the audience, do another round, and if we have time, we'll keep doing our rounds till time is up. Yeah? Yes? Okay. And then the questions, you can choose to write them down, hand them to the ushers who would bring them to me, or you choose to ask for a mic and, ask questions. But the second round would only take 5 questions. So the first 5. Okay. Yes, the first 5 from the audience. Well, since Dr. Awoshika started off reminding us that when we pay school fees, there's no difference between male and female. We might as well all, refresh our... Okay, so I think in 2025 we can all agree that the face of leadership is changing. The leadership narrative is changing. Notice I did not say it has changed. It is changing. And it takes some active participation and work for us to get to where we think we need to be. But women are playing an increasing role in leadership, and vital role. And women's voices are being heard more. So on the panel today, we will try to look at this evolution of leadership, the strengths that women bring. I think we have heard several times today that women are unique and they bring very distinctive skills to the leadership space. So we'll try to touch on that. And also maybe shake some tables as well, particularly looking at some of the biases that women face in leadership. Okay, so I will start with, and then this feels like a reunion for me, because, well, I will try to behave. So I'll start with Tony. Well, Tony, we've known quite a bit, but it will be interesting to get your perspective on this. And my question for you is, as I've said earlier, that leadership expectations are shifting. The face of leadership is shifting. How has your leadership approach evolved, if it has, over the last, 3 decades? 3 decades since you've been a leader, and then what does it mean to lead well in the current environment?
All right. Thank you, and good morning, everyone. I'm indeed privileged to be here today, and I echo what Mary has said, that this is a sort of a reunion. I've known Mary, and I'm going to expose your age now. Okay, let's say 3 decades, when you met me for the first time in an audit when we were working for PricewaterhouseCoopers. Now, back to your question, you asked whether my leadership style has evolved. And just to be clear, this question was already revealed to me yesterday or 2 days ago. And I had time to reflect. And indeed, I can say, yes, there has been an evolution, but there was a point of inflection for me that led to this evolution. For people like Mary and people who know me, incidentally, I'm comforted knowing that I'm sitting in the same company as Mrs. Toyin Sanni, when she said she made a move, starting your own business in 2018. Incidentally, about the same time, July 2018, I also made a career-defining move. I was already a partner in PricewaterhouseCoopers, and for those who know how the Big Four work, it's pretty much you get into partner, you're stuck there for life. You shouldn't move. At least that's how it is in Nigeria. But in 2018, I made a move. and I crossed over to Ernst & Young, another Big Four firm, in a senior management role, eventually a few months later becoming the managing partner. And I can tell you that in the last 6, 7 years of EY has been the most formative in terms of how I lead. I think this, to summarize it, there is a young lady who is a partner also in EY who knew me from my days in PwC. And my full name is Anthony Ifeanyi Oputa, right? And she would say that we knew Tony in PwC. Now we know Ifeanyi. So I don't know if that answers your question. But to go straight, so I'm happy you say, what does that mean? So I think one of the biggest challenges, because I'm coming from another organization, stepping into not just leadership, but heading, taking helm of another organization. And it's the best way I can describe it is almost like going through a heart transplant. There's a very high probability of an organ rejection, right? And it's even worse when you think about what is the main criteria that most of these Big Four firms use in recruiting. Some of them, they claim to be the best and brightest, right? So you're talking about high achievers who, in their own rights, believe they should be the one in that position. And now you're bringing a third-party alien to the system, running with blue in his blood, and now you want to do an organ transplant in a yellow blood environment. Okay, so just to paint this. So, but what are the things I believe that contribute to leading well? The traits I believe has matured in me and I think are relevant to the question of what does it mean to lead well. One I'll begin with is conviction. You must have strong conviction in yourself that you're able to do what you have to do. So you can say conviction in yourself is the foundation, but on top of that foundation, there are certain pillars that are necessary for you to be a good leader or lead well. One is vision and direction. A good leader or someone who leads well must be able to articulate a proper vision, communicate that vision properly to the people he is leading, provide direction, and that is the first important thing. And at this stage, I will talk generally before we then dive into what are those traits that women bring to the table that make them uniquely qualified. Now, another pillar I would look at is something that Mrs. Awoshika has already mentioned, empathy and compassion. Now, leadership is not about you leading yourself alone. It means carrying a group of diverse people most times towards, you've shown them the vision, you've communicated them, how do you then get to that vision? Remember, and as I think about this, I remember in the 80s when we were all trying to learn. Unfortunately, it was my mother's car that suffered learning how to drive. Nobody dare touched my father's car. He was Lord and Master of all he surveyed, right? Ask yourself, how easy is it to drive for those who are conversant with manual gear cars? How easy is it to drive with the handbrake up? So empathy and compassion is essentially about how do you recognize every individual, recognizing the fact that we all have diverse perspectives which can enrich the conversation towards providing what? Innovative solutions to the problems that organizations face. We all watch American movies and they tell you no man left behind, especially when they're talking about the Marines. Well, your work as a leader is to ensure that as you that everybody is carried along and that the right, everybody has a say, and but ultimately you chart the cost, carrying everybody so no one is left behind. Next, we ask ourselves, what else you need to do to drive? Decisiveness is important, but it's not decisiveness for the sake of decisiveness. Accountability is key as a leader. for you to lead well, it's not just enough that you're showing the path and you're making the right informed decisions. It's also important that you hold yourself accountable and hold others accountable too, for the good and for the bad. And there will be bad things that will happen in your course. But the important thing is that for this to work, everybody must see that they share equally in the successes and also share equally in the failures. Okay? And one word I like to use is that we also learn to fail fast. But I think, so I don't hog the mic for too long, one more last thing I'm going to say. For you to lead well, one of the things that is key is to be a trustworthy leader. Trust is the foundation of all great relationships, whether it's a team relationship or interpersonal one. And once there is trust, okay, and I think that is the one thing I had to work the most on as I reflect on my last 7 years of journeying in EY. If you build trust, even when you make mistakes as a leader, people make excuses for you. So, Mary?
I mean, for those who, thank you very much, Tony. For those, for those who wonder the difference between Tony and Ifeanyi, I picked up one. The one about not leaving anybody behind. Because Tony did not mind leaving people behind if he were not contributing. But Ifeanyi clearly is not leaving anybody behind. Zira, I'm coming to you. Okay, so research highlights strengths, the unique strengths of a woman: emotional intelligence, well, collaboration, intuition, and I know in Chinyere's book, she highlighted all of these facts quite a bit. Collaboration, resilience, right? How have these qualities played a role in your leadership journey?
Thank you very much for that question, Mary. And Chinyere, thank you for inviting me. And it's good to see, all these inspirational faces that I know in this place. So I was just reflecting on, because the questionnaire, I don't know who sent us the questionnaire, but it was really good about, what we were going to discuss today. And this particular question reminds me of the beginnings of my own, let me call it, leadership journey. So the first time that I ever got to lead a team at work was 18 years ago. And I was just thinking about that. And the year that I got that job is also the year that my father passed. And it was a very difficult time for me because my dad was my champion, my supporter, that wonderful dad who told you you can be anything, you can do anything, no one's better than you, no one's prettier than you, nobody's smarter than you can do anything. So that's the kind of father that I grew up with. And so when I got my first manager role, he had just died. And I remember being so devastated because I wanted him to see me become a boss, which was I always wanted to be, apparently. I used to say when I was younger that I wanted to be the boss. My sister wanted to be a doctor. It was very clear to her what she wanted to be. I just wanted to lead people. I didn't know into what. I didn't know in what way, but I just knew I wanted to lead. And here I am, finally, it's happening, and he's not there to see it. And the one person who gave me comfort is a friend who said to me, well, who do you think organized that you're managing this team? Who do you think was orchestrating this for you from heaven? And I promise you, that's the only comforting thing that anybody ever said to me in terms of condolences that my dad passed. But that aside, that first job tested all of these things that we just talked about. Why? Because I was becoming the manager of a team that I was a team member of. So imagine you have your peers, and we're all in the team together, and we have a boss. And we all report to that boss, and that boss leaves, and I am now the boss of my team. So I knew immediately that I needed to be, I needed to be smooth with this leadership thing because I couldn't just become from one day to the next, become like the boss, right? So the obvious thing, oh, sorry. So how obvious it was that I needed to be, collaborative and, empathetic and work with everybody and get everybody's contribution so the work could go on was very clear to me from day one. Like no one had to tell me that this is what needed to be done because the people on my team were my peers just the day before. The second challenge is this was a very diverse and international team, people from different countries, from different backgrounds, different races, everybody was different. And we were not even in my own country, we were in the US. So, how to use all the drama around being the leader of this team and at the same time getting us to deliver is what tested every concept of collaborative leadership, understanding yourself, understanding your team, where do we want to go, how do we share the vision, how do we do this together while not being the boss with a stick, which was what our previous boss was. So I think that was where I completely understood, and it's very true, that what women bring to the table is, to me, very different than what men bring to the table. And I love that Mrs. Awoshika said that we don't have to become men or use masculine energy to bring that to work, because at the end of the day, men are bringing their masculine energy, we're bringing in our feminine energy, whatever that means. What it means to me is the empathy, understanding, skills, some level of humility, some level of understanding. We don't know everything. We need people to collaborate with us. And so that's really the fact that I learned, that everything that we bring to the table is, in a way, helping us to demonstrate that women can do it too. When I say women can do it too, I then from that point on, every other job that I ever had was again being the leader of the team that I was in. There's a chapter in the book, Chinyere, about domestic leadership, like how do we lead at home? And this is I don't know how many people can relate to this particular little anecdote, but when I got married to my husband 28 years ago, I didn't change my name. And I didn't change my name because of many reasons. One of them being that by the time we did all the analysis around why do we have to change our name anyway when we get married, it turns out that this is not even an African tradition in most contexts, because people always belong to their father's family. So I will forever belong to my father's family. My children will forever belong to their father's family. And so this concept of changing names in Niger, where we're from, was something that was imposed to us by the French. So I was like, we're not doing that. And to his credit, my husband didn't really mind. Also, I told you a few minutes ago how influential my dad was in my life. I wanted to just carry his name along. So my name has been Zuere Yusufu from when I was little until now. So when I became the country manager for the World Bank in Gabon, the assumption was that my husband's name is Mr. Yusufu, right? So every time that we would get like an invitation to something at the presidency or some event at the Danish consulate, right, it would say Mr. and Mrs. Yusufu. And I'd be like, oh my God, please, no, his name is Keita. Can you please just say, Zoe Yusufu and Moise Keita? But people don't understand that they want us to have the same last name, right? And if I'm saying that I'm married, I'm walking around with a wedding band, that my name and my husband's name should be the same. So to his eternal credit, my husband was, he was really gracious and graceful about this. But to me, that was another thing that it made it so obvious to me that nobody's expecting us to be leaders. Because obviously, if whatever I'm doing, I have my husband's name, I'm defined by my husband or by my father. The Mr. and Mrs. will always be the husband's name. And these are things that we just have to deal with as women, right? So that also means that at home, I have to be like a normal wife, right? Meaning I'm cooking and I'm making sure that, I'm doing my wifely duties, right? The things that African people expect African women to do, I do that too. But outside at work, I'm also a leader, but I'm not a hardcore boss at home, right? Because I want my husband to know that he's my husband and that, you know what I mean? So I think that's also really important for us to bring um, as a separating, how I am at work and how I am at home is not the same. Even though I'm bringing my entire self to my job, I don't know how to not have issues with my kids and my husband and my mom and work and home. To me, we're one person doing all these things in the same moment, but we just have to be aware that we always are just trying to represent, our feminine excellence, our female excellence in everything that we do. So all this to say that yes, women leading with wisdom, with resilience, with empathy, with collaboration, with, carrying everybody along. And I'm glad that you're carrying people along and not, just moving on with with everybody else. But I think this is a really interesting conversation, and I know I don't have talking points, but this is really, I think, the only piece of advice that I would have and that I have for my mentees and the women that I talk with on a regular basis is just be yourself. How to be a leader is something that we already know, but we just have to know how to manage ourselves in different contexts. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Zura. Thank you for that. And just reminding us as women that being yourself is usually enough in every situation, at home and at work. That's so powerful. Thank you. Chioma. Hi, how are you? Good. Okay. So my question for you is about leading through a challenge or crisis. So I know that you have experienced this. Can you share with us and also let us know how your authentic self helped you get through it?
Good morning, everyone. Um, Thanks for having me. I run the Africa International Film Festival, and also I'm a mother of 5. Um, it's important I say this because it weaves into my story. My kids range from age 30 to 7. So in dealing, yeah, 30 to 7. So in dealing with the staff and all the members for the film festival, I have them in the millennials, I have the Gen Zs, I have my age mates, and even younger ones. So you can imagine that at this point, I have to have skills that range from age 50, maybe even a little bit higher, all the way down. So one major challenge we had, I'm going to give a story, was maybe the 5th festival we had. We're at number 15 right now. And everything had ended, it had gone well. It's a 7-day film festival. And the last bus to the airport had rolled in. And people had started, going into the cars. Everybody's doing their work. We had different departments, the logistics, the this, the that. And then IK comes running. He's the project manager, heavy guy, in his 50s. And he goes, "Boss, we have 2 missing people." And right behind him is another guy called Enzo, currently in his 40s. I'm giving this because with every age group comes a different mentality into solving problems or how they see things. And I had the younger, and they just kept piling up. At this point, my heart is beating. I remember 2 things. In the beginning of the festival, I was asked to ensure everybody do this, do that. And I said, why do I have to insure these people? I'm not insuring anybody. So now 2 people were missing. And then we asked who the 2 were, and there were 2 Americans. The first guy says, "Listen, we have to call the American embassy now." Hey, I said, "No, let's wait." The next person comes up and she goes, "Well, we gave them MTN lines, so maybe we can start calling the numbers. That kind of worked for me. Another person was now talking about digital, going online to our newsletter, send out newsletters to everybody to just kind of see who were the last people associated with these members, the directors, actually film directors, and one of them was kind of famous. I'm looking at this array of workers, maybe like 30 of them, all staring at me to at this point lead. So I said to them first, whenever people come to the festival, they kind of end up in groups, either groups of people you want to deal with, buy products from, sell, or collaborate in terms of production. So I said, who were they always with? And they said, oh, OTB was always with them. So I said, okay, let's look for OTB, first of all. And then, secondly, at the time, we had our routes. So it's either the bus is taking you to the cinemas, or to where you have your networking parties or sessions, or, or back to the hotel. So if they were to have not gone to any of these places, then they had to have taken a private car. So I said, can somebody go down to the desk of Oriental Hotel and ask them whether 2 white men came to take a taxi or ask for a taxi, because I couldn't imagine them calling. At the time, I don't think we had Ubers, calling anybody on their own. And we went downstairs, and clearly, they had asked for a taxi. So now where did they go? They went to the the Fela Shrine. All the way in Ikeja. When did they leave? They left the day before at 9 p.m. 9 p.m. My God. I've said these people have been kidnapped. So at that point, we had to come up with, so now there's something men mostly always say about women, how we're so emotional. And I say we are. But it is a great point, especially when you hone in your emotions and use it for good. So I called the team and I said, okay, first of all, now we had some people crying already. I said, well, the bus had to leave. It was already 5 o'clock. This is the last bus. If they don't go to the airport on time, they would all miss their different flights. And so who was going to go to the bus to get the driver to get moving? And I needed some people to now go off to the shrine. I needed people to start calling those numbers we gave them. Luckily, we gave them MTN lines at the time, to start calling those lines. So while all this was going on, I saw one of the guys jump out of a taxi. His eyeballs were this wide. So you know what could have happened over there. One of them also answered his phone, and so that kind of calmed us down. He didn't know where he was. They had actually got into it. They slept, they took, I don't know what they took over there, but they had passed out, slept, and they actually slept in the shrine. And so waking up, all one of them could remember was Oriental Hotel, and the other one remembered the name of the cinema. They knew no roads, nothing. So in telling the driver now said to one of them, where did you say you were going? One mentioned one place, the other one mentioned another place. So he charged them a whole lot of money, and to make them think that where they were going was super far, he just kept driving them from pillar to post. And boy, did they pay. But so luckily they made it back. Of course, the cars had left. We quickly got them in the car and also got them to the airport, and they were safe. Luckily, they went back to America. But in all of that, in our post meetings, we had to sit down and analyze a lot of things. Thereby, the leadership qualities came on. What did we do right? What did we do wrong? And people kept asking me, how were you so still? And I said to them, I have so many children. Exactly. Every day is a crisis. You have to be very intuitive. You have to hone that skill and make sure you know when one is lying, when one is missing classes. You always have to know. So my always being still, I get that all the time. How come you're always so still? I think it's just from having so many children of different ages. And then women, as women, we're very empathetic. And so, just trying to feel the pulse of everybody, calm them down, make sure they're okay. Because if I had broken down, everybody, there were like 23 staff, everybody else would have gone crazy, and then everybody else would have noticed what we were going through. And so for me, every day in the festival, you have to have all those skills running through. And I'm very grateful to my 5 kids.
Thank you so much, Irma. We're very grateful to them too. Oh, that was the situation. Emmanuel, okay. I know you don't have 5 kids. He says yes. What role as a male leader do you play in mentoring and advocating for women in leadership? I see you.
All right, thank you, Mary. What role? It's a bit, I don't want to be presumptive. When you say role, I think the first, for me, I think let me just, I have to backtrack since everybody has given anecdotes, right? So let me do the same. So for me, I would say starting out my career, because coincidentally also from PwC. Chinyere happened to be my coach. Actually happened to be my coach for a number of years at PwC as well. So each time she calls, of course, we have to respond. All right, and coming in then, I think my first coach was a guy, then was male, sorry. And within a year, he had left. So throughout my career, early career, I've actually always had team leads, managers that were actually women. So that bias, I think, because a lot of the bias that comes along with women leadership has come with experience, with societal pressures and background, really. So, but my experience has been let's say, biased in the opposite direction, in the fact that I've firsthand witnessed the capacity, the ability, the unique strengths that women leaders had. And that's actually carried on through most of my career. So I've never really had that mindset that women could or couldn't do anything. So that carries on from consulting background, segue into my second career, which is now in oil and gas. Now within oil and gas, you have, there actually are certain biases in the sense of what kind of roles women can do, especially has to do with engineering, right? Because I remember talking to a colleague, and in her class, she was referring to that she was the only female in a class of about 50. That was in Unilag on one of the engineering courses, which was an eye-opener for me, because that's just going in terms of even from education and how it transpires to the career front. So coming into the career now, we operate in oil and gas downstream. So like, for instance, retail outlets. Typically for things to do that require that kind of rigor, you would say you expect it to be men dominated. But that has not been the case, because you actually find that a lot of, like for retail outlets, we have stations across the country. And several of those stations are actually managed by women. A number of those retail stations, I see them when you walk into it, everybody drives cars, I'm sure. So you get to a station, a lot of those stations are managed by women. So even looking at the organization, I would say we are I've heard the word gender neutral. I don't like the word agnostic. I know that's a word my boss tends to use. We're very, very gender neutral in the sense that women, it's strictly based on merit. More so with times of the kind of cost of capital and what it costs now, I don't think any investor should be looking at, I find it strange if you are considering gender and making those decisions. The question of who can best manage, who can best lead, it has to be based on merit. So in our own organization, you actually have, when I think through the C-suite roles, the group head of HR is female, the group CFO is female, the group head of retail is female. So it's the same thing that's carried. So in making decisions as to who should lead a team, it clearly has to be on merit. More recently, there was a role that had to be filled in the finance function, and 2 out of the 3 candidates for consideration were female as well. So in making those decisions, coincidentally and favorably, I would say, fortunately, it's always been a question of who can do it first, who can do it best, rather. And now, in the case of mentoring or speaking up, I think for men, it's a question. It's just that question of removing that bias or those biases in terms of what kind of functions are female oriented or male oriented. It's a question of who can do it best. Thanks for the story that Chama just went through. We all have, well, a lot of people have daughters. I'm sure you want to see them rise to the highest levels they can rise. I came from a family of 5, had one girl. So, but currently I'm surprised that we still have that happening now. So I was a bit shocked, but it's good to know. So you always want them to aspire for the best. So the key thing is to be able to speak up and advocate in no matter how small. And it's in the small things. You talk about things to do with the as a leader in terms of enabling environment. Something that also comes up because I don't want to go through the theory of it because opening Chinyere's book today, I think all those points about emotional intelligence, collaboration, teamwork, they were all well highlighted. So definitely you should buy the book before you leave. So, but in terms of in terms of what should be done, it's, as male leaders, you should create that enabling environment. For instance, I'm at this event now. I can actually speak here. My daughter has a recital, something to do with music today. My wife can attend to that event, for instance, to that event today, and I can be here. So the question is, as a leader, if, for instance, your female, like what's it called, your report, a direct report for you is female, and she has something that has to do with either as the, because now what schools demand from us these days, the amount of events and level of participation that is required is ridiculous. At the beginning of the year, they are giving you a full calendar of the events for the year. I wonder whether you're working for the school. You've paid the school fees, so they expect you to be here for assembly, to come attend assembly, So it's ridiculous. And so there has to be a balance where you actually have to share that. So when a female report says, hey, you have to attend my kids, either it's the inter-house sports, the recital, or whatever, how do you respond as a boss? Because at the end of the day, it's life. Life happens. You have a wife, or you have a partner, a wife, and how would you like that scenario to play out in reverse? So you should be able to create that enabling environment within organizations to recognize that women play on multiple fronts. You have the corporate or the work front, the home front, because they do a lot of the heavy lifting, whether I like it or not. I know there's a lot of change in terms of equality that's coming in, but they do a lot of that. Then even in terms of ministry, where I'll use my wife as an example, where they're involved in ministry as well. So that's also a lot to balance, home work, and then ministry. So it's a lot to unpack in that regard. So enabling will be creating that environment where they can thrive, because highlighted from the keynote speaker's address that women bring something unique. They bring balance. I also work out in my organization as well. I work in a founder-managed organization, and you have the group executive director who is female, the group managing director is male, and I know what that balance can be, because I see things, something that's basic attention to detail. I could actually carry a document and give it to the group managing director. I hope he's not here. So, and you get that thing signed off. If you were to have carried that same document, for instance, to the group exec director, and that would have passed. I've also experienced that with Chinyere sitting here, and Mary too has also led me on some projects. Fun fact. So, and I've seen that level of attention to detail that you would not find in a number of men. I don't know what it is. So things that you'd always taken for granted. It could be a resume. We're doing a recruitment one time, and how she was able to analyze the resume to identify that there was some career gap that nobody picked. I'm like, it's a resume. You now start, and when you drill down to those things, so there are insights and that could make or even break an organization. So we should also always recognize that the women have a unique part to play, and we should continue to provide that enabling environment. I think that's the least that can be done.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. I like this version of Emmanuel because we grew up at a time. Okay, I'm still growing. When we were together, it was, I don't see male or female. I just see who can do the work. But now you recognize the unique qualities of the woman and the advantage it could bring to your organization. I like that. Thank you. And Tara, hi, how are you? You're the last, but I think you're going to bring together everything we've talked about. Chioma has told us about her 5 kids, God knows. Emmanuel has told us about everything the woman in his life is doing, right? Zuera told us about how her vision was always being a boss and how she tries to not be a boss at home and she has to, camouflage herself at home. But anyway, told us about what it means to be a boss. Tony has told us about the authenticity that it brings and the vision and the conviction of a leader. So for you, my question is, as a woman leader, particularly in the space where you are, how do you balance all of these, I guess, faces that a woman has to have in order to lead well?
Thanks, Mary. First of all, it's very nice to be here, and I have to say this, as it's International Women's Day, Dr. Chinyere, thank you for having me. And I just want to seize this opportunity to honor you. I worked with her at the IFC a couple of years ago, and this woman here is a definition or the epitome of women supporting women, so thank you. To your question about balance, when I thinking about it, I'm like, is there really, really such a thing? I mean, I guess for me, it's something that evolves. I think it's something that we evolve with over time, but I think as women, we're multifaceted. I think it's one of our superpowers. We're able to immerse ourselves into everything and all of that for ourselves. For me, especially in the space that I work in, it's like you almost don't have a life working in government in Nigeria. But I think some of the things that you even said, I think they overlap. Sometimes your work, your ministry, you see yourself as an apostle in the marketplace, you do a bit of both. But for me, I think, how do I survive? I compartmentalize and I prioritize. Because I think it's that thing that we say about, can you have it all? And some will say yes. Some will say, can you have it all at the same time? And I think it just is how. And I think it's different things for different people. It's never a one-size-fits-all. Everybody has got to do what will work for them. People will say, family is the first front, is the first ministry. Don't sacrifice this on the altar of that. Everybody has got to do what works for them. But I think, in essence, compartmentalizing and prioritizing, that is what works for me. So.
Okay, so quick process check. I'm not sure we have time to take any more questions. So what would, if you have any question, please meet Dr. Chinyere Almona. She'll answer your question. Or even better, buy the book. All the answers are there. So we'll just do a quick, 1 minute from each of our panelists on the advice you would give aspiring leaders. Men and women, okay. Aspiring leaders, the advice you would give them, knowing what you know today. I think, Tara, we'll just start with you and then.
Advice for me is focus. Keep going and build to last. Dream big and think something that would outlast you.
Thank you. For me, there has to be a balance. I know it's International Women's Day yesterday and continuing, but at the risk of being short, I would like to say, drawing from what Mrs. Awoshika said, it doesn't make sense to ignore 50% of your assets. She was obviously referring to the women folk, but I think it's about balance, okay? The women bring the empathy and all the great collaborative, emotionally intelligent things that are contained in the books by Dr. Chinyere, right? But men also bring something to the table. And it is the bringing of this thesis from the women, the antithesis, if you will, from the men, that we arrive at a synthesis that makes organizations thrive and succeed. So be open, be balanced.
My advice would be women support other women. Always bring up a younger sister. Make an opportunity for another woman. Never be the only woman at that level. Bring other women in. And the criticism will always be, is it only women that you hire? It's okay to say yes, because it was only men that the other ones were hiring too.
There are many characteristics of leadership, but I find that being intuitive, like grooming that level of intuition has helped me with a lot of things. And so if we take the time to listen to that inner compass, the inner God-given compass, because we have all these kids we lead, it would help you in many decisions. Thank you.
Hey, please. All right, so in closing out, for me, leadership is a journey. It's not a destination. It's not that it's continuous. So the two lessons I will leave with, whether it's for men or women as leaders, there are two. One is to listen more. Listen more in the sense that regardless, we all carry our own biases, right? So it helps to listen to the other person. When I remember the talk by, I think it was Chimamanda Adichie, when she talked about the risk of the listening from two sides, the tale of the fallacy of a single story, something like that. So it's important we actually hear the other side. So we might have certain biases about our reports, those that work with us, colleagues. Let's also try to listen more to understand where the other person is coming from, and that helps us make better leaders of ourselves and for the people we also lead. The second one is to trust more. Trust more in the sense of trusting yourself. Like you talked about a lot about being original. So that originality is you. You try to, you learn things, you learn office politics, you learn how to manage people, but at the end of the day, your uniqueness is what will shine through. So you should learn to trust yourself. You should learn to trust other people. You should learn to delegate as much as women can multitask and do all that. They should also learn to delegate, empower other people. Men, same thing. Empower people. I believe personally that you should learn to walk yourself out of a job. So if you cannot step outside, you cannot go on vacation, you cannot go on leave, then there's something wrong in your organization. And I've seen that play out where someone just goes on leave and it's like the entire department is shut down. Get this document, nobody in the team knows what's happening. A mail is sent, nobody else can respond. So you should trust others. And ultimately, you should trust God, because at the end of the day, despite all the TED Talks and all the aspirations and even reading the wonderful book, there's only so much we can do by our own selves. So I believe we have to lean on the Supreme Being and trust that, I think with him, that's the major piece of the puzzle for us as leaders.
And thank you so much. Thank you, panelists. Thank you for sharing. And on that note, I just wish all the women a happy International Women's Day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another resounding applause for this amazing panel. And we're inviting Dr. Chinyere to take a picture with them, photographer. You admit with me the stories, the sharing, they were quite unique and impactful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can we give them a round of applause as they step down stage? Please, let's keep clapping. All right, thank you very much. I don't know about you, but I learned quite a lot from that very engaging panel session. A round of applause again. So I know in the room, some of us may have read the book. Some of us are still trying to figure out what are the gems that Dr. Chinyere Almona has beautifully put together in the book that we're launching today. So you have to wait no further. I'm going to be calling up our next speaker in the person of Mrs. Bisi Adeyemi. She's going to be giving an overview of the book, Ways Women Lead Well, and I'll be reading her bio before she comes up stage. Mrs. Bisi Adeyemi is the Managing Director and CEO of DCSL Corporate Services Limited, where she has successfully led companies' transformation into a market leader in corporate governance and advisory services. A law graduate from Ahmadu Bello University with an MBA from Lagos Business School, Bisi has held key legal and leadership roles in the oil and gas and dredging sectors. She is a fellow of the Institute of Directors and has attended executive programs at Harvard, Wharton, and Kellogg. She has served as the 17th president of the Nigerian Chamber of Commerce and is the first non-founder chairman, board of trustees of WIMBIZ. I think that deserves a round of applause. Bisi also sits on several boards, including Center for Women's Health and Information, Eventful Limited, and St. Ives Hospital. She facilitates board-level trainings and serves as a resource person at the DCSL Academy and Institute of Directors. Join me as we welcome up stage Mrs. Bisi Adeyemi, who is going to be giving an overview of the book, Ways Women Lead Well. I'm sure we can make the applause louder as she comes up stage.
Thank you very much. I'm not very sure if protocols have been established, so I don't know if I can stand on existing protocols. Thank you. I think it's safer for me to stand on existing protocols. But first, I would like to ask, how many people have read the book? If you have read the book, please, your hands up. 1, 2. So, Dr. Chinyere, I always get to do all the hard work. So you all come here, you're sitting comfortably, you are enjoying but I had to read the book. But I assure you it was a very enjoyable book, so it was a good thing to do. And this is the second time I'm reviewing a book for Dr. Chinyere. All right, so here goes. By the way, happy International Women's Day. I'll tell you why I don't feel very enthusiastic about it this year at some point, but happy International Women's Day. Nobody's answering me. Thank you. Okay, here goes. So Dr. Chinyere's book, Ways Women Lead Well, an exploration of the distinctive strengths of women in leadership, is a thought-provoking book that defines leadership from a female perspective. Drawing from research, personal insights, and real-life stories, Dr. Almona provides a compelling case for why and how women can excel in leadership roles without conforming to traditional, often male-dominated leadership styles. The book is divided into 4 parts: why women lead well, when women lead well, where women lead well, and what women leaders want. So I found there were essentially four key themes to the book. The first one is the power of emotional intelligence in leadership. Some of the panelists already spoke about that earlier on. So one of the postulations in the book is that emotional intelligence is a critical leadership trait that many women naturally excel in. She highlights how self-awareness, empathy, and interpersonal skills allow women to foster stronger team dynamics, resolve conflicts effectively, and create inclusive workplace cultures. Unlike the outdated notion that leadership requires emotional detachment, Dr. Almona makes a strong case for how emotion, when very well managed, can be a leader's greatest asset. On the link between awareness and authentic leadership, she writes about how Dr. Ibukun Awoshika, keynote speaker this morning, and I found that story very intuitive, first female chair of the board of First Bank, demanded that a photo of her in a dark dress be taken down and replaced with one in a bright pink dress, right next to the photos of 100 men in dark suits. She wanted her authenticity to come out. I mean, she's female. Why does she need to wear a dark suit to, to be chair of the board of a bank? She also speaks about collaboration over competition. The book challenges the conventional top-down leadership model, emphasizing that many women thrive in collaborative environments. She provides examples of successful female leaders who prioritize teamwork, mentorship, and collective decision-making over hierarchical control. She argues that women's ability to build and nurture professional relationships is a key driver of sustainable leadership success. On teamwork, she cites the example of Angela Andres, former VP retail at Apple. Throughout her tenure, she showed her team, through words and action, that each person mattered and they are a part of something much bigger than themselves. This collaborative approach contributed to Apple's retail success. Another theme in the book is resilience and overcoming barriers. Dr. Almona discusses the challenges women face in leadership, including bias, stereotypes, systemic barriers. However, rather than focusing solely on the obstacles, she provides practical strategies to overcoming them. The book shares powerful stories of women who have shattered glass ceilings, navigating industries that were always unwelcoming to female leaders. She shares the powerful stories. She shares a concept called the glass cliff. Anybody heard of the glass cliff? Okay, I read about it for the first time as well. Describing a situation where women are promoted to higher positions during times of crisis or a recession, sort of setting them up to fail. And here she cites the example of Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Throughout her career, had faced several glass cliff situations. Can we remember the one about COVID? She was appointed to the World Trade Organization just as the pandemic broke. Our ability to navigate the glass cliff is marked by pragmatic and unwavering commitment to reform. Her journey exemplifies the power of women's leadership in times of crisis. Other examples in the book are that of PepsiCo in Dranon. Sorry, just lost my... Another theme, the final one, the importance of authenticity. Authenticity is a word I always struggle to pronounce. Authenticity. Okay. So a recurring message in the book is the importance of authenticity. Chinyere encourages women not to mimic traditional, often male-centric leadership styles. Some of our panelists told that as well. But instead, embrace their own strengths. Yes, you are emotional. It's not a bad thing. She argues that qualities like intuition, compassion, and the adaptability are not weaknesses, but assets that make women uniquely effective leaders. On women in politics, Dr. Almona writes that the challenges facing women in politics are real, enormous, official and unofficial. What comes to mind? I didn't say Natasha. Anyway, formal and informal, and limit women's political participation. These challenges include patriarchy, stigmatization, funding, political violence, and cultural barriers. However, despite these challenges, Kamala Harris raised a record-breaking $100 million in 24 hours, within 48 hours actually, highlighting the growing influence of women. But she went on to lose the elections for numerous other reasons. So I'll speak to the writing style very briefly. Dr. Almona's writing style is clear, as with all her books, and engaging. Simple English, nothing complicated, easy to read. She balances academic research with storytelling. She is a great storyteller, making the book appealing to a wide audience. Each chapter builds upon the previous one, providing a structured roadmap for women looking to embrace their leadership skills, enhance their leadership skills. The book provides practical tips and key takeaways that readers can immediately apply to their careers. Unlike some leadership books that come focused heavily on theory, Ways Women Lead is action-oriented, making it a valuable resource for professionals at all levels. Are there areas of improvement? Yes, I identified two. Perhaps Dr. Almona should have included the perspective of male allies, as we had on the panel, on ways women lead well. That would have made it a bit more robust, and their insights would have been useful. Also, comparison of leadership experiences of diverse cultural economic contexts could also have been more inclusive. In closing, I will leave you with Dr. Almona's words in the epigraph, and it's a message to women. So to all the women in the room, don't let being a woman hold you back from the leader that you are destined to be. Embrace your strengths, rise above the challenges, and let your unique perspective shape the trail you blaze. Your journey as a leader is not defined by gender, but by resilience, wisdom, and the positive impact you make. Own your path, inspire others, and show the world the unstoppable force a determined woman leader can be. And with that, I enjoy you. So please buy the book. I've read it. It's something that you can't put down when you start reading it. Copies are available outside. Dr. Almona, when I write my book, you will review it.
Please let's give Ms. Bisi Adeyemi a round of applause. Fantastic overview of the book. So I'm sure you're all looking forward to reading it. If you haven't read yours, the copies are available outside. Now, moving along very, very quickly, we're going to have a segment about the author, and I'm going to be calling up stage Omoshalewa Fajobi, I beg your pardon, who works as in full-time capacity as the executive director and chief operating officer at MISA Nigeria Limited, a property development firm which offers a wide range of services in construction, property and facilities management, as well as real estate. Prior to the role, she worked as the project lead for IFC's corporate governance program in Nigeria. Before she took on the role of the operating director at Tenjin Family Office Limited in 2017. Although a lawyer by training, her current role at MISA involves governance and operational oversight of projects, as well as the accountants, HR, and legal departments. She also sits as non-executive director on several boards, including Access Bank, Coronation Insurance PLC, One Terminals Limited, and others. She has two beautiful daughters who share her love for God and all things musical. Please join me as we welcome upstage Omoshalewa Fajobi. Please, let's clap for her.
Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm going to start by saying I'm not the prototype or of Shion who's on your program. Chinyere just sprung this on me as I walked in this morning. So just note that this is a few scribblings, while I was sitting over there. So I'm going to start by talking about how I met Chinyere. In 2007, when she was still in the consulting world. She was still at PwC then. And she had come in to lead the board evaluation of the bank I worked with at the time, Oceanic Bank, which I'm sure was difficult in itself. It was probably one of the most challenging roles. But anyway, so moving on, I'm not going to talk about that deeply. Moving on to our second coming, Chinyere and I think in 2013, she took on the role of Africa lead for the Africa Corporate Governance Program in Africa for IFC. And she was trying to build a team. And then she remembered that stubborn girl that she had worked with at Oceanic Bank. And she looked for me, and then I joined her team. So I had always prided myself in knowing how to write, right? Until I met Chinyere. And then, so we went on a scoping mission in Ghana. I think this was May of 2014. And then I was to write the report. And I wrote what I thought was a brilliant report. And then I sent it to Chinyere. Hey! And then Chinyere sent it back. And then I sent it to Chinyere again. And Chinyere sent it back. Then I said, okay, Chinyere, let's sit down and talk about this. Let's, go through. Chinyere is a conscientious person. It might have been a couple of commas here, some aspects that I didn't represent or capture accurately, but it wasn't good enough. So please go back and do it again. And then I learned, and then each time I would say, okay, so what will Chinyere think if I sent this to her? And then what will she say, if I sent this to her? Oh, she taught me so many things as my boss leader. Why have I added leader to the boss? Because she didn't manage us, she led us in the way that she behaved, in the way that she spoke, in the things that she asked us to do. Because you could tell she's been there, she's done this. She has gone through the paces, and she knows what she's expecting, and she's not going to take anything less. She made it very clear to us. So I'll talk again now about Chinyere as my friend and as my sister. That was an interesting period in my life, 2014. And Chinyere understood so well. Not only did she listen, as I think it was Emmanuel who spoke about listening, learning to listen. Not only did she listen, she heard me, and Chinyere will ask questions about things that I didn't expect her to even remember that I had spoken about. She made me feel not just like a team member for her, but she made me feel like an important person, and so doing work with her was, I won't use the word privilege because that's so formal. It was a good thing. It made you feel like you were not just growing as a professional, you were also developing as an individual. She strengthened, and she built you up. I think it was Tara who said that, yes, women supporting women. Oh, Chinyere supported me. She supported the other person in the team in Nigeria, and I'm sure most other teams across Africa would have said the same thing about her. She worked also with Rita, a lady in East Africa. And a couple of years after I had left IFC, Rita and I still communicated that same thing. Thank you, Chinyere. Just for those. I'd written a few things just to guide my thinking. So the third aspect I'm going to speak about is influenced by Chinyere. Chinyere has 3 high-achieving children. And when you're the mother of high-achieving children, you pay attention. She paid attention. I never met them, but I know Dumebi. And I know David in her speaking and in her, wanting to guide and just give guidance. And I knew that I had to be like this. No matter how exhausting or high profile you ever become in your role, your children are important. And she showed me that. She's a full-time wife to Pastor Obi as well, right? Supporting, and I learned that as well. There's so many different balls that this young lady, was juggling, and none of them dropped. Each time, it was, let me take it the other way. The amount of support I see Pastor Obi giving Chinyere clearly reflected to me the amount of support she was giving him, regardless of all her travels at that time. Just awesome. Just watching the 2 of them together was so influencing and inspirational, right? Okay. I'm concluding. I've been given 5 minutes, so I'm very mindful of time. I'm a stickler for time as well. So in my conclusion, I spoke with Chinyere yesterday, and I had told her that today was meant to be my mental wellness day. No phone, no laptop, I had even sent warnings. My kids and I have a group. Okay, so children, please, usually when they send me messages, my service pledge to them, I have an SLA with my children. They're 2 daughters. And my service pledge is if I don't answer you in 5 minutes, know there's something wrong, right? Whether I'm in a board meeting, wherever it is, if you're calling me, right, and I cut off the call, the next thing you will see is a message telling you why I have done that. If you call me again, it means you need me. So I step out and I take the call. So I sent a message to them yesterday. It's mental wellness day for mommy, early in the morning, tomorrow. So if you try to reach me before 3, I will not be available. And then Chinyere calls me at 9 a.m. and says, I hope you have not forgotten tomorrow. I said, huh? I have. And she says, okay, you will try. And I had said to myself, unless it is a major event, someone very important, or something I really can't not do, I'm going nowhere tomorrow. I guess this tells you how important Chinyere is to me and how very closely I hold her in my heart. Chinyere, thank you for the support, for the motivation, for influencing, for just leading in the way that you would want to be seen, just showing how things can be done, not differently, just in sequential coordination, right? You're not dropping balls, and yet you're still living. Lola is here. We worked at IFC together as well. And she always had some interesting baths that she used to put on. We used to call her mother in Israel, but she was a very fashionable mother. Oh, there were no drops, no balls dropping with Chinyere. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much for that. A very warm round of applause for Moshaliwa Fajobi. And thank you for thanking our Dr. Chinyere. Thank you for not dropping any balls. My black and white lady. She wears many hats. I mean, if you try to just think, as you're looking for one, you're finding another. So I would not uncap that one today. Let's leave it for another day. All right. Very quickly, we have partners' message, a very short one. We have a rep from Olam Agric to just speak with us for about 2 minutes. If you're here, could you please step up to speak with us? Olam Agric. Oh, I think, has she left? Okay, all right, maybe she just stepped out. All right, so we've come to another interesting bit of today, and we'll be having a small fireside chat with the author called Author's Talk. And so for the first time today, we get to hear her speak. And I'll be inviting first Mrs. Koko Kalango, MON, Director, Port Harcourt UNESCO World Book Capital 2014, founder, Rainbow Book Club. Mrs. Koko Kalango, I welcome you. Please come to the podium. A round of applause for her, please. I know this woman's passion for books. I can't even remember when in my past life that I met her, but I know about some Rainbow Club. It's always about books. So I know you well. I will know you more today. Right, so that's our bio up there. Mrs. Koko is a renowned author, literacy advocate, and cultural promoter. She's dedicated to fostering reading culture and national development in Nigeria. She's the founder of the Rainbow Book Club, an initiative that promotes literacy and has been instrumental in encouraging a love for reading among your people. She played a key role in establishing Port Harcourt as UNESCO's World Book Capital in 2014, a milestone that highlighted Nigeria's literary contributions on the global stage. Through her work, Koko has championed literacy as a tool for empowerment, social change, and national growth. A passionate storyteller, she's also the author of the Colors of Life devotional, which blends inspirational messages with real-life experiences. Koko continues to advocate for education, cultural heritage, and nation building through literature and community-driven initiatives. Please, a round of applause for our fireside chat lead today. And we would like to call on the special woman of the day, Dr. Chinyere Almona. Double doctor. Let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it rolling. So I leave the stage to Koko to unravel. Thank you.
Hello? Okay, it's working. Okay. Wow, thank you. Well, I haven't known Chinyere from her later professional years, like her different friends from PwC, etc. But we've known each other for over 40 years. We go all the way back to being teenagers in the same school in Port Harcourt, the Federal Government Girls College, Abuloma. So I've known Chinyere for a very long time. I don't know how many of us know that Chinyere has written 11 books. Very interesting. So she's written books on her areas of interest and expertise: corporate governance, leadership, women's issues, and her faith. So Chinyere, I'll start by asking you, why is it so important to you to write? Because you're a very busy woman.
Thank you, and hello to everyone. And Koko, it's such a privilege to be interviewed by you. So why is it important to write? On different counts. So for one, I'm somebody who believes in continuous learning. I learn everywhere I am, with everybody I meet. And I believe that writing is one way to contribute to the learning of others. So if I put something down, then you can learn from my experience. I like to say that experience is the best teacher, but I also add to that, it doesn't have to be your experience, it could be somebody else's experience. So just putting it down makes that fact clear. Secondly, I believe that's about leadership, right? I know that leadership is about impact. How else can I impact people beyond my sphere, my immediate sphere of influence? Is by writing, by putting down my experiences, my thoughts, my views, my perspectives, and then people across the seas will get to read it. Sometimes when I travel and people meet me at conferences and say, oh, I read your book on boards. I'm like, yes. Even though I can't get to those countries, my book is getting to those countries. So finally, I believe that it's a way to leave a legacy. We all walk this earth for a season and we depart. But how else would they know that I walk this earth if I don't put down stuff about my being here? As I look across the room, I see people who have books in them, who are afraid to write, who feel they're too busy to write. But this is one way to leave a legacy, that you walk this earth, and that you can help the future generation to not make the mistakes we made, not face the mountains we faced, or find ways, better ways to overcome those mountains. So writing is one way to do all of these things.
Excellent. Chinyere, well done. And I must say, when they asked how many people have read the book, I didn't see too many hands, but I would encourage us all to read the book. It's very well researched. The points are well marshaled out. And it's simple, it's easy to follow. I find it to be a very balanced text. And something I appreciate about the book is that some of the examples and the quotations are from people who are African and Nigerian, and that's very important. For instance, something stood out for me, a quote by Kofi Annan, just supporting, women in society and leadership. And he says, there is no tool for development more effective than the empowerment of women. I love that quote. My next question to you, Chinyere. Today is International Women's Day. This year's theme is Accelerate Action, a call to rapid advancement in gender equality. It's calling for focus on recognizing strategies and tools that drive women's success in education, employment, and leadership. How does your book align with this year's theme and focus?
So when you talk about accelerating action, it speaks of an urgency to make change, an urgency to move forward. I think we've talked a lot for too long. Talk. We need to get into action mode. And that's where this book comes in, because it gives you clear strategies. Beyond discussion, we're thinking, how do we get into action? At different points in the book, I give personal guidance on what to do. So it's a living manuscript for life and leadership. It's a way for even organizations. So there's a chapter in the book where I talk about the barriers that women face and what companies need to do to support women and to ensure that they get the benefits of their skills, of their and their uniqueness. So this book really aligns. Interestingly, when I was concluding this book, I had thought for some reason I was going to launch this book last year, and I had targeted the International Women's Day last year, but then it didn't come together. But I guess this is the season for it, that we can collectively take actions to make progress for women in leadership. For I believe that it's enough talk, let's work. Let's do the work.
Excellent. Something interesting in your book is that it highlights that women are different from men. I'll quote some words from your book. Women see the world through a different lens than men. Both men and women bring unique and valued qualities to leadership. A lot of our speakers have touched on this. So why is this point important?
It's important, like you said, most of the speakers have mentioned it. It's 50-50, and we have to ensure that we get the right balance. But there's a particular chapter in the book, I think it's chapter 14 or 13, where I talk about mutual learning, the things that women can learn from men and the things that men can learn from women. Because at the end of the day, I don't have to be a man to lead, but there are things that they do well that I can pay attention to hone my capacity for leadership, and vice versa. So we need to understand, and also when you look at the things that they do well, and you tend to understand your male counterparts, your male subordinates, your male supervisors, you tend to understand them better, and so you can lead well. You kind of lead authentically because you have better understanding of things.
Excellent. Your book also shows us that some characteristics peculiar to women, which may have been denigrated in the past, are actually strengths for leadership. In chapter 5, you talk about women leading with grit and grace. So can you speak to us, maybe just one example of how a woman's peculiar characteristics serves well in leadership?
So I think one word that a lot of people have mentioned today is empathy. In the past, and when I was at PwC, and those who work with me at PwC, they think I was hard. I was really not hard. I was very caring and had your interest at heart. You may not believe it now, but I really had your interest at heart. But the point was just understanding what a person is going through can help you make that person function better. The point that Shalewa made, sometimes people are going through stuff and they can come to the office and they can try their best to be productive. But if they're going through issues at home, if they're going through issues perhaps even at church, if they're going through those underlying problems, they can't deliver fully. But sometimes all that they need is that you hear them, is that you understand that they're going through these issues, and then you find them wanting to help, wanting to even make an effort to provide or to be productive. So I think empathy is a great thing. The other point is around the sixth sense. I think it's Chioma that talked about the intuition. And I mean, that chapter actually came about, I sat down with a great woman leader, and she was talking about, her success. And she started to talk about the sixth sense, that a lot of her hiring decisions were, supported by her sixth sense. And I went researching about that because I found it quite interesting. And so women, if you look at the research, women actually use that more than men. So men will think of documents, the data, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying data is not important, but I believe that the sixth sense adds to that, your decision, and makes that decision, almost on point because you can feel it within you.
Excellent, thank you. I found something else very interesting in your book. Many times when people talk about leadership or write about leadership, people don't mention the home front, but you did. In fact, chapter 9 talks about women leading on the domestic front. And yet I know you're a pastor, you're an ordained pastor with the Redeemed Christian Church of God, and you're married to a pastor. And we know the biblical worldview says the man is the head of the home. So is there a conflict there? How can women lead at home?
Okay, so leadership is about impact and influence. It's not necessarily about the titles. And I know that if you listen to Chioma when she was talking about her 5 children, with the man and the woman balancing their relationship and their positioning at home, we have a goal, and that goal is to have children who are well balanced in society, who can do well, right? And sometimes your ability to lead isn't that you are the one who is in charge of everything. Your ability to lead is that you can influence how the children turn out. You can influence what they do. You can influence what your husband wants to do at the end of the day. So it's not a position thing. It's not how much impact can you make at the end of the day. And I like to say that if you have in the home, there's proper balance, you find support from both sides. And I come from a home, thankfully, my husband is here. A lot of the things I have succeeded at doing are things that he's kind of pushed me and almost like insisted that you can do this, you can do that. So he plays that role, but I also know my role as a woman in the home. I know my role as being that visionary, that I can think about the children, what they want to be in the future, and what do we need to do today to support what they want to be in the future. So these are all the things that come together as you think about your role as a woman in the home.
Excellent. And I must shout out to Pastor Obi Almona, whom I have known for over 35 years. And to be the husband of this kind of woman tells a lot about you. Well done. Now I'm going to talk about your role as the Director General of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. This organization is over 138 years, about that. And Chinyere is the first woman Director General. Now talk about shattering glass ceilings. Well done, Chinyere. This organization has over 1,500 members. It's a male-dominated field. How have you been able to lead successfully since 2021?
So I wouldn't say this is male-dominated. So all my predecessors are male, but I believe that it's an environment where both genders can thrive. And it's really being focused on the goal. What do we want to achieve and how do we get it done? A lot of people, when I joined the chamber, I actually had somebody say to me, you can't lead this chamber. You're not strong enough. You're not firm enough. You're too soft. You can't lead this chamber. But I go back to the fact of influence. I may not have been best at leading it, but I believe that by understanding the team you work with, empowering them, and also learning from them. Because at the end of the day, you're not an island. You work with and through people. At the end of the day, you don't know it all. Your direct reports, they know quite a lot, and you need to lean on them. So just knowing when to balance leaning on people and getting things done quickly, knowing how to balance delegating and not delegating, knowing how to manage conflict. These things have helped me navigate the environment I find myself. It's been a journey, and I've had fun on the journey. And I believe also that for most women, something we never pulled together, and I mentioned it in the book, is that we have such transferable skills, but we never quite transfer them, right? And one of the things, and I'll read a portion of the book, I said to somebody, somebody I was mentoring, and she was a bit concerned about being at work. She's gone on maternity leave, she's come back. How do I fit in? What do I do? I'm not qualified, I'm not good enough, I'm not this and that and that and that. And I said to her that we women, sometimes we beat ourselves up for nothing. And I said to her, I think that's on page 19. So as we spoke, I asked her, do you know any man at your age and level who has practical expertise in stakeholder engagement, peacekeeping, crisis management, conflict resolution, resource mobilization, dispute resolution, and negotiation? She said an emphatic no, but she was puzzled, as if it was not possible for anybody to boast of such diversity of expertise. I asked her, having raised 2 children, maintained harmonious relationships at home, coordinated your in-laws, and kept Mr. Husband happy, which of these skills have you not demonstrated?
Yes, I also noted that.
Yes, so if you have demonstrated all these skills, should you not feel empowered? Should you not enter any room with confidence? Like, you throw your head back, like, I have all of these skills. And you do. But I think we just split ourselves into 2. This is what I've done at home, but it doesn't apply to the workplace. So I think that women, we need to, I call it portfoliorize all your skills and know that they are transferable at any time. That way you will have more confidence in a conversation. If you enter an interview, you're not going to be saying, I'm not sure, I'm not sure. You are sure. You have done it. You've done it with the 5 kids. Do you want to talk about 5 kids? Like 5 nations. What else do you want?
Thank you so much, Chinyere. Next, this International Women's Day is different from most others, at least in Nigeria. The next thing I'm going to ask about is sexual harassment, which is an experience of many women, and it's a trending topic in Nigeria today. Chinyere, from your years of experience working in the public sector, private sector, corporate life, and all that ministry, how can we mitigate this sexual harassment thing?
That's
Any
like a
thoughts?
trick question. So I think it's also in the book, I talked a bit about sexual harassment because it's a real thing. And more women than we know are harassed every day. That they don't speak does not mean it doesn't exist. They are harassed in various ways. In the way a man will look at you, you walk in and he will undress you. That's horrible. Or he holds your hand longer than he should hold your hand. Or he starts to pay you very silly compliments. You're looking very pretty. I like the shape of your nose. What's that? They say all of these things. And as a woman, you need to be as professional as possible. So sometimes you want to slap somebody, but you hold yourself together. I believe that to a large extent, women need to know how to set their boundaries. You have to be clear about your boundaries. It's a non-negotiable. Sometimes we go about negotiating our boundaries, and that's where the problem starts. Because once you start negotiating your boundaries, like it starts with a handshake, and then it goes to the elbow, and then it goes to the shoulder, and then it's touching the breast or something. You start to negotiate your boundaries. Don't negotiate your boundaries. Be firm about those boundaries. Also, you need to speak out. If it happens, please speak out. If more of us can speak, it will be helpful. I know that with the issue of sexual harassment, it is difficult to prove. So it's my word against your word. And then after we do my word against your word, we'll start talking about, it wasn't my intention. I don't care about your intention. How did it make me feel? So we should be able to say, I don't care what you are thinking, but I feel uncomfortable with the way you're looking at me. I feel uncomfortable with the things you're saying to me. Sometimes people start to pay all these compliments. I say, please, can we keep the compliment aside? Can we get to do the work? Why all the compliments? So I think also, and then it's almost as if they feel that women wants to be complimented. If they're telling you you're pretty, you do all these things, your dress is fine, your legs are fine, that it means anything. We need to own our game. We are more than the clothes, and more than the hair, and more than the eyelashes. We are women of substance, and we must be able to demonstrate that in every conversation. We must tell them that I come here with brain. I didn't come here with just the clothes and the nice. No, I came here with something, and I can deliver on that thing. So with sexual harassment, I also believe that organizations need to do a bit more. Having policies in place, programs in place that can protect your women. If they don't have a channel to report or to complain, then there's a problem. Nobody will ever speak. If they feel that there's no protection when you speak, you're retaliated against, nobody will ever speak. So I think organizations must take steps to protect their women. And please, companies, it's in here. You can find steps that you can take, practical strategies.
Thank you, Chinyere. Now we want to go behind a bit personal, to the person behind all these accolades and outstanding achievements. I can imagine with the different things you do, you must be a very busy woman, and yet you have to balance, so many balls, as it were. So what's Dr. Chinyere Almona's typical day like?
It's difficult to think of a typical day. Every day is different. But talking about wearing different hats, I think what Tara said about putting things in compartments is helpful, and prioritizing, and knowing that there are different phases of your life. If I'm looking up to Dr. Toyin, Sanni, and I want to be like her, right? She wasn't like this 20 years ago. So I can't sit here and say, I want to just be like her. And so I got rid of everything and just focus on being like her. She went through phases to get here. So perhaps to the young ones, there's a season of planting, there's a season of harvesting, there's a season of investing in yourself, there's a season of building yourself, building your career, building your network. There are seasons for everything. So just being able to prioritize. I think Charlotte talked about the balls in the air. Some balls are glass balls. If they crash, you can't get them back. Some balls are plastic balls. You must understand which ones are plastic balls and which ones are glass balls. But more importantly, some are glass balls at a phase in your life and plastic balls later. So you also must understand, what the phases are and which balls must stay in the air, for whatever reason.
Okay, in a way you've answered. Excellent. My next question, which a lot of women struggle with this balance and prioritizing. I know you've answered it in a way, but I was just wondering, now speaking to women who are wives and mothers, what would you say to your younger self or to the younger women here in the audience?
Okay, so there's no silver bullet and there's no perfect solution. You need to find your own solution and navigate your own path. But I believe that sometimes we try to do everything. When I was younger, I wanted to do everything. Take care of the children, make sure they are perfect, take care of husband, take care of this, work, all of those. But if I think back now, there are some things you can actually delegate. There are some things you can lean on your community. Community, family, community at work. There's some things you can let others do. You don't have to do everything yourself. So talk of prioritizing, but also knowing when it doesn't have to be you. There's some things that you must do, like some of your wifely duties. It has to be you. But but there are some other things that it doesn't have to be you. There's some things you can delegate. So just on knowing that will help you determine, because you can't do everything at the same time. So there are phases as well. Going back to the phases thing, but knowing your limits. Everybody will have 24 hours, and we have to apportion that time. But knowing what you must do and what you can let go. And then there are some things that you don't even have to do. Okay? Sometimes we get worked up about all the things that must be perfect. I say that perfection is an enemy of progress. Keep going. Keep going. You get better as you keep going.
Thank you so much. That's such an important point. That's such an important point. My final question is, why should everyone get a copy of this book? So you need to sell your book in 2 minutes.
My people, so in this book, sometimes we women, we don't quite understand how much power we carry. So that's why this book is important. Because it talks about if I start with why women lead well. So if you understand why you will lead well, it will help you. So it talks about, all the qualities that we have that men don't have as much as we do. So you need to pull it together. That's how you lead well. Then it talks about when women lead well. What are the times when women are best, so that you know where to situate yourself. It then talks about where we lead well. And it ends with, what do women want? What do we need to do to break the barriers? Like my book reviewer, Lucy talked about the glass cliff. There were some things I was hearing for the first time as I researched this book, which is why you need to get the book, because I've done the work for you. So you can then get it. You don't have to go and create the drug. I have created the drug, so just take it and swallow. So please, as you go out there, please buy a copy. But more importantly, if you're a man here or a leader of an organization, you must ensure that everybody in your company, every woman should have a copy. One of the books that actually changed the way I lead was a book titled The Leader Without a Title by Robin Sharma, a very brilliant book. But how did I get that book? The CEO at the time in PwC bought that book for everybody. So we all had to read the book. And that changed the way I position myself as a leader. It's the same thing. If you get it for them, they will read it. So please don't leave here saying, let me get one copy and just go. Please, buy for others. It's important. Have I sold it enough? Should I continue?
You've done so well. I would also add, as someone who's read the book, that this book is, I would call it a handbook that would benefit different people across different sectors. HR professionals, when you're thinking of hiring, I think this book is very insightful. As she has said, it's well researched, it's backed with statistics, the points she puts out. So even people who are leaders in different sectors, in the private sector, in the public sector, even if you're not a leader yet, it's a very powerful tool to open our eyes, and even women to see, because sometimes we don't even know how we lead well. So this book, I would recommend it for everyone, both the women and both the men. And I'll just leave you with a fun fact or an interesting detail I got from Chinyere's book, that women make better spies because of all those soft skills. And on that point, Dr. Chinyere Almona, very well done. Thank you for writing the book, and it's a pleasure to be speaking to you.
Thank you very much. And that was Dr. Chinyere Almona, the book and everything in like 20 minutes. Thank you, Koko. That was amazing. You brought out all the nuggets and we got it. I kept writing down. Thank you. Thank you, Chinyere. I mean, we can't stop learning from you. We would move quickly because we're rounding up now. So please don't leave. We understand it's a busy day for many of us. Our next speaker is an amazing, young, and very, interesting woman. I'd like to invite Joyce Daniels to the podium. Joyce would be unveiling the book. You understand now, she's a talker. Joyce Daniels is a distinguished public speaker, a Master of Ceremonies, coach and social engineering practitioner with a passion for personal and professional development. With over a decade of experience, she has established herself as one of Nigeria's leading authorities in public speaking and event hosting. Yes, I follow you on social media. She is the founder of Talk Academy, a training academy dedicated to equipping individuals with the skills to communicate effectively and confidently. Through her mentorship programs, workshops, and coaching sessions, Joyce has powered countless professionals, business leaders, and aspiring speakers to enhance their communication skills. Beyond public speaking, Joyce is a strong advocate for social change, leadership, and nation building, using our platform to inspire positive transformation. She is also a sought-after facilitator for corporate training, leadership development, and personal branding. I present to you.
Thank you so much. I'm really delighted. I had no plan when I was coming here today. I wanted to come in as an open book. And somehow I've shed a number of tears here, listening to different people speak from the panel till now. Why? For a long time, I didn't consider my mom a leader. But for the first time today, seeing how women lead, the ways we lead, I'll see her tomorrow to say thank you for her leadership. I had been angry with her, and she knows this on different levels, because I felt she didn't give her all. Instead, she spent the time raising 7 of us. Alas. I also had some time to reflect on why we should buy the book. So the moment Senior Koko asked the question why, the answers I wrote here as to why buy the book were exactly what Senior Chinyere said. Why do I call them Senior Koko and Senior? I didn't meet them in FGGC Abloma. They left long before I got in. So when we'll be saying all Abloma girls is not the same thing, no. They are my living ancestors. I said, why buy the book? Number one, crystallize and portfoliorize our wins. I picked the word portfoliorize from Senior Chinyere while she spoke, because it's one of the biggest challenges I deal with women who I work with. They can't own their wins. It's not just this small thing I did. It's not just this small thing I did. Why are you making a big deal of it? Oh my word. Number two, it will help us understand ourselves better, because I flipped through the book only a few seconds in here, and I could see how you need to read some of those lines and then you can say, this is me. Oh, this is me. So to understand yourself better, if that's one of your goals this year, or part of the vision, or one of the reasons why you would be more intentional about legacy, then please buy the book and buy one for another woman. Number 3 reason, the final reason I wrote here, was to inspire and motivate, because exactly 20 years ago, I had my first job. I was the manager of a boutique in Port Harcourt. I just left school waiting for NYSC. And I walked down, for those who know Port Harcourt, we heard NYSC would take about 7 months or so for us to be called. Anyway, I started walking down from Rumokuta Junction to Rumola Junction, and I entered every single shop, every single business, every single building, until I got to a place called Colorcraft Boutique. And I walked in, and she was like, oh, you speak so well, this and that, that and that. I said, oh, unfortunately, we don't need you right now. And I walked to the end, and a few days later, she called me, and she said, come back, come. She turned out to be Senior Amie, class of 1983, LGGC Aboloma. I mean, she took care of us so well. My young son was 2 at the time. And when she knew I had a baby, I was unwed, She would say, bring him over the weekends, bring him to work with you on Saturday. It meant the world to me. I promised myself then that when I begin to hire staff, I would take care of them. Thankfully, this year, we're able to rent our second apartment for some of my staff to live in. Because the way women lead, the way women have led in my life has been with care, nurture, encouragement, and you can do it. Senior Koko said to me in 2013, I think, after I emceed her first event, or the first time I emceed her event, she was like, you're so good, I'm going to work with you on my future events. And she held my hand. And at least the next 2-3 years, I emceed all her events, 2013, 2014, and some part of 2015. Thank you, ma'am. In my journey, in work, in personal life, I can very clearly mention the names of the women who have supported, encouraged, lifted me, and really made me who I am. So buy the book so that someone else can mention your name on her journey and said, if not for anything else, she gave me this. The same way Senior Koko's boss at some point gave them the book by Robin Sherman. If you've not been intentional about carrying other women along, you've done it, but maybe you were not intentional, this will be the first gesture by giving them a copy. So let's unveil the book. I would welcome Senior Chinyere, please, to come to the book. I'll welcome our chair of the event, but before I do, Senior Chinyere's senior pastor, please, we'll welcome you to the book. Pastor Obi. You know I love you so much. In the year 2000, when she launched one of her books, Virtual Events, I gave her a bill of 600K as her virtual MC. She paid without even talking twice. I loved you from that date till now. She didn't even say, won't you give me a Bluma Girls disc? She said, okay, send your account details, I'll pay. I was like, oh my God, I love you. But I've loved you for more than that now. Dr. Toyin Sanni, please, we'll welcome you to join in the unveiling of the book. Madam BC Adeyemi, please join in as well. Please keep clapping as they come forward. And Senior Koko, please. I'd ask you to join in this first set of photos we'll take with the book being unveiled. Please, I'm just saying that there is, yes, that way, yes, so Senior Chinyere, coming a bit. I'm saying that who is in charge of the fire effects? Pyro? Please come move it away just a little bit. You know, Senior Toyin's dress is not going to be caught on fire today. This girl is on fire, not literally. All right, the next one as well. Okay, fantastic. We'll pull it, right? It will be to pull. Okay. I don't know that there's space for me here. If I go up there, would you see me? If I stand at the back up there, will you see me? Should I go? I should stay here. Am I in the photo? Be sure. Let me come closer. Are we good? So, because I'm working with a pastor woman, we are going to pull it in the name of God, the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Are we ready to go? This book will be for the benefit of all women and men who will read it and benefit from the knowledge within the book. In the name of God the Father, God the Son, please stretch your hand to support her, and God the Holy Spirit. Amen. Please pick a copy. Please pick a copy. Pastor. Congratulations. Congratulations. Ways Women Lead. Woohoo! Because I've been given the privilege to do this, and I was really Was I shocked? No, that would be a lie. I wasn't shocked. I was just very happy. I would take 3 copies for some of the 3 women in my team and 5 copies for the girls of FGGC Abuloma, in addition to the how many copies I know you're going to give. And if you don't mind, because you're standing up here, before I call all those who were panelists, please don't go. I see you. Would you mind telling us a little bit about how many copies you're going to take? Or you can just tell us the big amount of money that you have already dropped or you'll be dropping soon. Dr. Toyin.
All right. I will pledge 1 million naira to this work. And I will agree with her as to how many copies I can take for the Women at Emerging Africa Capital Group.
Because I don't know if the tax man is here somewhere, I will not mention the amount that I would pledge. But I'll buy copies for all the women in my at DCSL for an amount I will agree. Thank you.
Well, in the course of our work, we interface with young women and sometimes with leaders of organizations, and we know this book is very important for that. So we would certainly be buying copies of your book. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Dr. Chinyere. Thank you. In the brochure that we have at the back flap, there are 2 QR codes there that say, scan me, if you like to buy on Amazon. I know some people have already begun their purchases, or you like to buy on Roving Heights immediately. We have signed copies here today, so you might want to go away with your own signed copies. And because I know we might exhaust those, Dr. Chinyere will be waiting to also sign some more at the end of the day. Should I bring the microphone round to the tables? I feel I should. You're not excited about it. Should I? May I? If you like me to bring it to you, just raise your hand. Don't do group answer. Women don't lead that way. We're so individualistic. Come on. We wear different colors of hair, different glasses. So why are you now joining everybody to say, because they said? If you like me to bring the microphone to you, you want to tell us where you're sending your copies to, or where you like them delivered to, or how much it is. Somebody's raising her hand. Should I come over? Yes? Bring it to you? Okay? Should I bring it to you? Okay. That's fine. Senior Chinwe, you know that I will bring it to you because who else will I be able to pick on if not my own darling Senior Chinwe?
Thank you very much, Joyce. And congratulations, Chinyere. Well, Dr. Almona, rather. We're all from the same alumni, so we will be picking up, Titi, how many life members do we have?
About 15.
So we're picking up 15 copies for the life members of our association. We'll do that right now, and Chinyere will personalize for each person. Thank you very much.
As a life member myself, I shall be receiving an extra copy from you. Thank you. Yes, ma'am, I'm bringing the microphone over to you. All right, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, ladies and men of valor. I am Dr. Mrs. Ayompe Hadassah Limunga Mbake, all the way from Cameroon, specifically from Limbe, popularly called OPEC City. I am highly privileged. I am elated to be here on this special International Women's Day, and I thank Dr. Chinyere, and I thank my sister sitting so close to me for bringing me here. I am here on a short holiday. My son is just beside me, called Mr. Ayompe Ernest. And I am taking copies to Cameroon because I am an educationist and I have to give women in my circle, as well as I'm the chairperson of my church, and I'll also take some copies to church. So I thank you all for making this day a special one for me, and I will take this message to Cameroon that here in Nigeria, International Women's Day is with a difference. Thank you all, and I'm happy to be here.
The book is going global, global. I'm bringing the microphone now to some of our panelists who will, Dr. Chinyere, where are you? Is she in here? If you can bring her in, I'll be grateful. So she can stand here with our panelists. They hold the book copies together. Now that the copies have been unveiled, take their photos. Are you helping me bring her in? All right, thank you so much. Whilst we wait for her, I will call them to please come up, take your stand. There's a copy for you. I'm not sure if the moderator, Mary, is still here. She is still here. Oh, fantastic. So please come. And then, you know you were up on stage as, oh yeah, here you are. I'm so sorry. So please, no, please come, please come. You are a panelist already, you know yourself. Please come up. Tara, please bring him up whilst you're coming. Miss Aima. Yes, so immediately after this, please hold a copy. We have copies here. Just pick one. Thank you so much. And we need more copies in front. Immediately after this, please, we need a copy here. Excuse me, we need a copy here. Please, we need copies here. No, there's no sharing. Nobody's gonna be sharing today. We have too many copies to share. Please now, bros, come. Thank you. It's not loving, sharing. So please hold up, look at the camera, smile. And then we will rain money. We will not rain oil today. We will rain money. All right, you tell us how many copies you're taking or how much money. Just make it easy. Tell us the money.
No, it's the copy. So I initially got 5. So I think to make it the entire team, so 5 additional ones. So that's 10.
I will do what I will do, don't worry. Okay.
You know how we do that. So we'll keep it between us.
Okay, see, I will behave like every other person. Emma is on his own. Anyway, I think, Chinyere, we have an agreement on what we will do, right? We do. You mentioned it, and I will do it. You know, as accountants, we are not allowed to reveal certain things, especially since there are tax people around.
Thank you so much. We're grateful for this. Please, you can take your seats. We'll ask. Yes, I'll hand over now. She said, diplomats, please. Diplomats, please come take photos with a copy of the book. Please, we need more copies here in front. All our diplomats on this table. Are they all diplomats? Everybody on the table?
Yeah, she has paid 5.
Madam Atuke? Yes, please. She's bringing her copy. Yes. Joyce is not going to Armstrong her. Okay. Thank you. Abuluma Old Girls, and then I'll drop the microphone. Thank you. Abuluma Old Girls, please file out as I sing. Hail Abuloma, source of our hope, fountain of truth and conscience, mother of science, home of the arts, we owe you love and reverence. Center of love and unity, where knowledge flows in abundance, pride of our state and nation,
where wisdom flows without hindrance, where learners learn and teachers teach. Federal Government Girls College, Abuloma, on the road to Abuloma, beyond Trans Amadi layout stands the seat of education, Federal Girls College. Labor on pro unitate, labor on pro unitate, on the road to Abuloma, Federal Girls College stands. Please hold your copies. Thank you. Yes. Should I tell them to bring more copies here? Or you've taken yours already? Okay, we have our copies. Thank you. My seniors are here. I can't misbehave. And on this note, I hand over. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Thank you, Abuloma ladies. Thank you very much. And a round of applause for that. We are quickly rounding up now. I'm going to stay here so that I make sure we round up, okay? So very quickly, before any other announcement, I'd like to call on the rep of all right, ladies and gentlemen, I understand that we actually have people online who've been with us, so it's only right that we acknowledge them. Thank you for joining us, Pamela Agboga, Philip Adewale, Sandra Ihenacho, Sonny Dumbili, Tochi Daniels, Uchechi Agu, and Uzeno Green. Thank you very much for joining. And without further ado, I'd like to call on the rep of Olam Agri, that's Morenike, to please come up quickly and just give us a very short sponsor talk. Remember, I'm here.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Let me latch on existing protocol.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, may we just have your attention for a bit? We're almost done. Please, thank you.
Good afternoon. I would just like to latch on the existing protocol. My name is Morenike from Olam Agri. I've learned a lot today, and I see it as a privilege to be here. As a proud sponsor of this program, Olam, we are committed to enhancing, food security in our country. And another thing I know Olam for is a support for women. Olam supports us women to the extent of creating a work group for women called GROW, Globally Reaching Olam Women. And I want to acknowledge this gathering by talking about my career a bit. And I just looked back quickly today and I found out that I've been able to grow through women, working with women. I started in consulting with Bisola Longe, and then I moved to UBA Capital and Trust with Tomi Shoyode, and then Ron Kadedeji in Leadway Pension. And they are working with them has left so much in me that is even helping me deliver on the current job. We want to congratulate Dr. Chinyere today on the success of the book launch. And the IWD team for this year says Accelerate Women. And I remember my coach went thoughts. I said a quote to the organization and I said, women were a formidable force together. Empowered women, empower women. And that is where I'm going to end that today. And I want to say, it is our world if we take it. We can only go as far as we see ourselves. Olam, we're committed to moving women forward, and that is one of the reasons why we're here today, and we will continue
to invest into women and ensure that women get to the top. And I want to encourage us to support Dr. Chinyere by making sure that we go home with so many copies and give it to other women. So we that we're empowered, we can continue to empower women. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Morenike. Thank you for sharing your story of women having empowered your journey, and that's so inspiring. Media, please, can you play us the MTN video very quickly? We will soon call up Dr. Chinyere for the vote of thanks. The MTN video, please.
Focus on the destination and not the journey, or where you're from.
They will see your gain, turn the dark to light.
Never ever settle. Make big moves from your small space.
Life no suppose and like this, and that's now why millions of Nigerians they pay for everything with Momo. Dial *671# or download the new Momo app, make you follow enjoy this better life.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to that point where we will take the vote of thanks. Dr. Chinyere, we need you here for the vote of thanks, and signing continues thereafter. Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for this amazing woman. Please clap. Let's clap for her. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. It's a real pleasure to come to the end of this. Now I can rest. I've been all stressed up, wondering and hoping that you all be here. So thank you for being here. I'm really grateful. So today I try to put down, I've been helped to document my thoughts. 2 years ago when I launched the book, Ways Women Lead Well, I was called to give the vote of thanks. I got up here and I was so overwhelmed. I couldn't even say anything. I was so overwhelmed. So today I have it written down. So I'll read what I have written so I will not be overwhelmed by the emotions. First and foremost, I want to thank the sponsors of this event, MTN, ICO Insurance, United Capital, and Olam Agri. Olam Agri, thank you very much for being here in person as well. I thank you. I want to say thank you to the chair, Dr. Sanni, for being here. I also want to appreciate Mrs. Awoshika. Although it was, she knew she wasn't going to be able to come, but she really believed in the project and she wanted to be a part of it. So I say a special thank you to her. I want to thank my dear family, Pastor Obi Almona, thank you so much. My dear children, Chidumebi Almona, who is here in the room, Gineka Chuku, who is somewhere online, and Chukudi Ebube. They have stuck with me because they have no choice. But I want to thank them because as they learn from me, I also learn from them. on many counts. I believe that all of you who came out, spent your Saturday with me, I am immensely grateful. Like, I have friends and, business colleagues who will actually show up for me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please clap for yourselves. I'm so grateful that I can look around the room and say, I have people. Thank you so much for being here. But beyond the relationship, I think there's something, an objective we must achieve. And that's how to promote women in leadership, how to support one another. We can't do it alone. We have to work together. We have to stand by each other. When I was watching the Senate drama, I was pained because there wasn't a togetherness. We need to stand with each other, no matter how bad it seems. But hey, the future is bright and there's so much to do. So let's go do it. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you abundantly.
Thank you, Doctor. And so finally, there were a few more people online. I'll just say Abiye, Bola, Charity, Chioma, Chizubelu, Ginika, Grace, Nemesit, Kainde, Noria, and Olaomi. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of a very beautiful day. It's an amazing way to have spent the start of International Women's Day. But let not the message be lost on us. First, today is about accelerating action. And I think she has accelerated action by writing this book, How Women Lead Well. Looking at the challenges, looking at the opportunities, and looking at how we must just take the bull by the horns and come to the table, shake it, break it, do whatever you need to do, but lead. And then lead warmly. Be that one why many women will want to come to work the next day. I always say that. Don't be the one that will make women say, I'm not looking forward to work tomorrow. And it's not just about being soapy, about being a mommy. It's about being empathetic, understanding people, and bringing out the best in them. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been your friend, Bukola Oluyadi, and my other babe over there, Shehu. Shehu is waving from the other side. And we've been your host for today. Thank you very much, and have a beautiful rest of the day. Dr. Chinyere, thank you.
Just give me 1 second. Thank you. Sorry. Hey. Hi. Thank you. Hi, good afternoon. Sorry about that.
Oi.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Have you ever done one of these interviews over the camera before? No. Well, let me tell you a little bit about the job to get started with. It's not just a job, it's sort of probably the most important job. The title that we have going right now is Director of Operations, but it's really kind of so much more than that. Responsibilities and requirements are really quite extensive. Just give me one.
Sure.
Uh-huh.